Going live in 2 minutes. One minute and 45 seconds. Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to episode 10 of Loomer Unleashed. I'm your host, Laura Loomer. In the fallout from the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, a troubling surge in Islamist propaganda, sympathy for Islamic terrorism, and blatant Jew hatred is spreading across the West, including the United States of America. In many ways, the war in Gaza has opened entirely new fronts on social media, on the campuses of universities, and in the streets of Western capitals. While both sides in a war engage in propaganda, the pro-Hamas faction has taken it to absurd levels. And now they are threatening nations and non-Muslims with lethal violence unless we get on board with their genocidal Islamic death cult. Recently, a 2002 letter from Osama bin Laden blaming America for the violent nature of Islamic groups went viral on TikTok. Some individuals, particularly Zoomers from the younger generation, even suggested that bin Laden was innocent, despite overwhelming evidence that links him to the 9/11 Islamic terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 innocent Americans. This raises a perplexing dilemma. If America is held responsible for Muslim violence in the Middle East, what caused it during the 1,200 years preceding our nation's founding? After all, the United States is only 247 years old. So my question is, what is Islam's excuse for the many other years in which they've been carrying out murderous acts of war against what they like to call infidels, aka all non-Muslims? It is no secret that Islam is a supremacist political ideology that masquerades as a religion. When it was founded in the year 610, it spread like wildfire, not through the merit of its beliefs, but rather through conquest. That is how the caliphates expanded all the way into Spain, the Balkans, and the Caucasus, just as it was spread through war. It was only bloodshed that stopped its advance into Europe. But the spread of Islam is once again making its way through the Western world, Europe, the United States of America, through unchecked mass migration and what the progressive left likes to call refugee resettlement. In short, Islamists have been declaring fatwas and jihads since the days of Muhammad. Yet, according to bin Laden, America is at fault for somehow creating these violent tendencies in all Muslims. More specifically, bin Laden said in his letter that America's support for Israel is what has incensed so many Muslims. Well, by that standard, Islam has only been violent for the last 80 years if we're talking about U.S. foreign relations with Israel. Of course, this is absurd. This is simply an excuse to pass the blame of Islamic terrorism onto Americans, who were, of course, the real victims of 9/11 in the first place. And now this same victim-blaming propaganda has cropped back up, but with a new spin. It is being used to galvanize support for Hamas, and it is being targeted specifically at the youth on social media. The vast majority of this audience is too young to remember 9/11, and many of them hadn't even been born at all when 9/11 happened. They were not around to recall or understand just how evil and hated bin Laden was. This makes them prime targets to be swayed by this propaganda into believing the total absurdity that Osama bin Laden was right or that he was somehow innocent. This goes hand in hand with the pro-Hamas protests that are ramping up all across the West. This week, a pro-Palestinian protest with several hundred participants showed up at the DNC headquarters in Washington, D.C. And the situation quickly devolved into chaos as these terrorist supporters fought with the police who showed up to defend the building. Isn't it ironic, though, that the Democrat Party, which frequently runs cover for Hamas and advocates for defunding the police and importing tons of Islamic migrants, ended up with this standoff at their front door and their own voters trying to break into their headquarter office? Well, in any case, 6 police officers were injured during the violence. Now, if these had been MAGA supporters as opposed to Muslim rioters, queers for Palestine, and self-hating white liberals, well, you can almost guarantee that this would have been branded as an insurrection. But instead, it will just slide, and they will get a pass with no accountability. Early this week, a very similar situation played out in London, England. In London, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters took to the streets during their Remembrance Day services. These continued off and on all week, at times becoming violent and close to a full-on riot. On Wednesday, as Parliament voted on pressing for a ceasefire in Gaza, protesters were busy desecrating war memorials around the city. Stay classy. Now, perhaps these nations will start to reconsider their immigration policies after a few more of these incidents, or peaceful protests, as the Democrats like to call them. Meanwhile, American universities are still dealing with the hordes of pro-Hamas students on campuses around the country. Dozens of student groups and clubs have had to be shut down after advocating for Hamas, and in some cases, essentially calling for violence and the complete eradication of Jewish students on campus. The problem is that many of the faculty members at these institutions are actually pro-Palestinian leftists themselves, who are almost certainly cheering on all of this and putting gasoline onto an already out-of-control fire. Islam is now on the march. This is undeniable. Islamic influences are exploiting the chaos in the Middle East to justify terrorism and violence in the West and here in the United States of America. Through social media and online influencers, they are reaching and indoctrinating a new demographic. The boldness displayed in the protests at the DNC headquarters and the streets of London raises concerns about the rise of and activation of existing terrorist cells in America and the adoption of Sharia law in certain areas around our country. If this is allowed to continue unchecked, how long until terrorist attacks resume in America? How long until churches and synagogues are blown up by the religion of peace? How long until Jews and Christians are slaughtered in the streets of America? It's only a matter of time. How long until places like Minneapolis are entirely governed by Somali Muslims? This is the trend that we're on currently, and I'm here tonight to call it what it is. It's a whitewashing of Islamic jihadist violence and a slow but sure Islamic takeover of the West.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist, by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems would be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself to
She
Twitter.
chained herself.
When I'm on a nigga, shoot my line.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for spending your Friday evening with me on this very exciting and eventful episode 10 of Loomer Unleashed. So much happened today. I felt like I was online all day long. I didn't even really get a time to do anything, a break to do anything, just because it was just such a rapid, fast-moving, fast-paced news cycle. We had so much going on today. Obviously, today is Friday, November 17th, which means that it is the congressional budget deadline for the House. And as we know, Speaker Johnson ended up caving, and the House Republicans voted on a continued resolution. And obviously, they decided that they were going to go home early. Okay, so meanwhile, with all this chaos descending in the streets of America, you know, you have Palestinian rioters trying to break into the DNC headquarters. You had the case for Trump in Colorado today. Luckily, there was some good news that came out of that, and we'll get into that. We're going to have Dave Williams, the chairman of the Colorado GOP, calling in a few minutes to give us an update, because just before the show went live tonight, breaking news out of Colorado. If you've been watching my show, you may have seen that I've been exposing the Soros-funded organization Crew that filed this lawsuit against President Trump in Colorado to try to remove him from the ballot. And breaking news, I was honestly shocked. They actually ruled in favor of President Trump, this leftist judge, and now this 14th Amendment effort to remove Trump from the ballot has been dismissed. And so Trump will be on the ballot in Colorado in 2024. And similarly, this week, there were also several other victories in Minnesota and Michigan. So the same cases that were trying to remove Trump from the ballot in an act of egregious election interference in Michigan, Minnesota, and Colorado have all now been defeated, which is really great. That's really amazing news. And we are looking forward to having Dave Williams on the show tonight again. If you want to watch, kind of a breakdown to understand the Soros radical left funding that is going into these organizations that are, of course, funding these lawsuits. And you're probably going to see other efforts around the country as well. Maybe not as many as before, because now, right, this precedent has been established. But I'm sure there's still going to be groups that try to waste people's time and money and run up legal costs for President Trump and his legal team by making these frivolous cases. But if you had watched episode 6, we're on episode 10 now, you can go back and you can learn about these organizations and how they are funded by Soros. And so definitely educational, even if it was several episodes ago. I would encourage all of you, if you want to learn about, some of these dark money organizations that are propping up these lawfare efforts. And also, too, right, they're the same organizations that are propping up a lot of this pro-Islamic jihadist violence that we're now seeing all across America, the streets of America. I hope those of you who tuned into my debate on Wednesday night on Zero Hedge enjoyed it. We'll have some clips and some highlights from that debate as well. You can also watch that and get the recap on my Rumble. I had the honor and the privilege of participating in the inaugural Zero Hedge debate series out of West Palm Beach, Florida. That's why usually Loomer Unleashes every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m., but busy week, so we decided to have the show tonight. And also, too, I wanted to wait to do the show on Friday because I was waiting to see the outcome of some of the litigation as well. You had President Trump's legal team file a motion for a mistrial, and right before coming on to the show today as well, it was announced that Judge Engoron, surprise, surprise, right, this radical leftist judge, actually rejected the Trump legal team request for a mistrial, which is pretty absurd because obviously the guy who has been acting corrupt and biased this entire time, right, whose wife I exposed as a Trump hater, is not going to agree. Yeah, by the way, I'm corrupt and my wife has completely compromised this case. And so, yes, I'm going to sign off on a mistrial. Yep, you got me. You got me. I mean, honestly, there should be some kind of independent review board here as opposed to this judge being able to decide whether or not, there should be a mistrial because he's corrupt. We've seen this. He is corrupt. He hates President Trump and he has no regard for the law, no regard for ethics at all. His son has been given VIP access, preferential seating inside this courtroom. I've showed you photographs of him attending pool parties with Fannie Willis. I just released photographs the other day that show his son, Ian Engoron, who works as an activist shareholder representative at a New York City progressive law firm. Appears to be him at a anti-Trump rally with Letitia James, who of course campaigned on trying to get Trump. So, justice in America is pretty much dead, which is why today I was shocked, honestly. If you were watching episode 6, you know that I had said, yeah, they're going to rule against Trump in Colorado. So I guess, I don't know, I guess there are anomalies, right? There are outliers. I'm at a bit of a loss for words, and it takes a lot to make me speechless because, I always have something to say. But most people were expecting this leftist judge who was appointed by the Trump-hating Colorado governor to rule against President Trump. So it's a good day. It's good because we're now seeing these efforts to illegally interfere in our election in 2024 get struck down. So that's a good sign, right? Finally, some good news. Don't really get many opportunities to report good news these days, but that's what happened. Let's see. Additionally, we'll get into this in the show too. We're waiting right now for Dave Williams to connect, but you had the really big APEC 2023 conference that took place in San Francisco this week. And if you go to loomer.com, that's loomer.com, you can see some of the articles on my site from this week in which we documented some of the absurd things that took place at this conference among globalist elites and people from Big Pharma, like the CEO of Pfizer, Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Xi Jinping, of course, the dictator of China. And you can scroll down on loomer.com and you can see, keep on scrolling down right here. Watch, Xi Jinping's car almost run over a U.S. Marine. So this actually really happened, and we're going to play the video for you. I haven't seen anybody in the media talk about this, but I think I'm the only person that actually reported on this. But this just goes to show you how far we've fallen as a nation and how we're being conquered by China. Take a look at this video. We're going to play the video for you, but we'll play it a couple times. Go ahead and watch this video now, and then let me see if all of you see what I see. And we'll pull up the chat, and we'll see your reactions, because I don't know why this isn't all over every single mainstream media news network, because this to me was like such a power flex by China against the United States of America. You have to see it to believe it. Play the clip.
Ready, two, ready. We're in, open the door. Ready, doors, ready, pop. Ready, close. Ready, done. Ready, two.
Do you guys see what just happened? Look who gets out of the car.
We're in, open the door. Ready, doors. Ready, pop. Ready. Ready, close. Ready, done.
So I don't know if you saw that, but that was a deliberate effort by Xi Jinping's vehicle to run over a United States Marine, okay? United States Marines, when they're in position, they're not supposed to move. The fact that that Marine had to physically move himself out of his position is unprecedented. That doesn't happen, okay? You see the videos all the time of them standing out in the rain when it's raining, when the presidents are there and they don't even flinch at all. And you have thunderstorms coming down, wind knocking off their hats, and they don't move, okay? So the fact that this happened is just totally unprecedented and out of control. And you see firsthand that Biden didn't say anything about it. So we're allowing for Xi Jinping, the Chinese dictator, to almost run over a Marine in front of the President of the United States of America. And then the United States Marine is opening the door for Xi Jinping. It's really bad optics for our country. And it's a power flex. We'll get back to the chat and we'll go back to this. But now, as I said, we do have breaking news out of Colorado. The Colorado GOP has won, and the judge, this radical leftist judge, Sarah Wallace, has actually ruled in favor of President Trump. I mean, really unprecedented, kind of shocking news, really, for everybody involved in this case. And so I want to bring in Dave Williams. He's the chairman of the Colorado GOP. And he was on, as I mentioned before, on episode 6 for an hour to really dive into this in greater detail. But Dave, it's so great to see you again. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Laura.
Yeah, thank you. And, I think that you're just as surprised as I am, because when I had you on, right, and I told people, go watch it, it's still important information for people to learn about the history of why Colorado has gone blue, even though it was several episodes ago. But we were all just saying, yeah, just expect them to rule against Trump. There's no way in hell that this judge is going to rule against Crew, the Soros-tied organization. Tell our viewers, Dave, what just happened. I know it just happened less than an hour ago, so this is fresh news, breaking news, and you're there to witness it all. What happened?
Yeah, the judge put out about 100-page ruling, and at the end of it, she ultimately said that Donald Trump should be placed on the ballot and ordered the Secretary of State to do that. But some of the things that we don't agree with in the ruling is that she claims that Donald Trump did engage in an insurrection, that he was responsible for some of the violence that took place that day. But the linchpin for her was whether or not the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment applied to Donald Trump. She concluded ultimately that Section 3 did not apply to him, that applied to every other officer underneath the presidency. Ultimately, I think she did that because she's a left-wing activist judge, and she had to do something in order to placate her base. But she got the right ruling, and we're thankful for that. We do expect an appeal to the Colorado Supreme Court, and that has to be done in the next 3 days. And we'll see where it goes from there. The Colorado Supreme Court is not known to be all that good, but if Minnesota and Michigan are any indications, I think we're headed for a good result.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, right? Is that we saw this same week that the same 14th Amendment cases in Michigan and Minnesota were also struck down, and so hopefully, right? Hopefully they realize the kind of hell they're going to unleash on this country if they do try to entertain this, because it's blatant election interference. And also, too, I don't think that a lot of these people were expecting to, get exposed the way that they were exposed. And I was really the only journalist in the country to expose these ties, their ties to Soros, and all the financial ties, and especially their own associations with each other. And so, maybe they weren't expecting this, right? Maybe they weren't expecting people to follow the money and see how these people are all tied to the Democrat Party's biggest donor, including Judge Sarah Wallace herself. And so people's eyes are starting to be open, because they're realizing, wait a second, there are these dark money, deep state operatives and slush funds that are being used to prop up election interference, and this is wrong. And we showed the receipts. And I know that after I interviewed you a couple weeks ago, the Colorado GOP took a straw poll, and President Trump won overwhelmingly, 87% of the vote. And so what has been the reaction that you've received? Because I'll be honest with you, we've only done 10 episodes of Loomer Unleashed. It's a new show. I'm really excited to have the kind of growth that I'm having. But my episode with you is my most viewed episode. It is the most popular episode on my channel so far, with over 250,000 views. And you're a local GOP chairman. You're obviously important, but I've had, more high profile guests on, and it didn't get as many views, right? I think that the information that we uncovered in the episode with you was so shocking, and I wanted to let you know that you were the most viewed episode. What has been the reaction from people in Colorado who saw this information that we broke on my show?
I mean, they've been extremely grateful that the information you put out about all the inner workings of the Democrat machine here in Colorado, and how they're not only working in Colorado, but they're actually all over the country. Colorado is really an epicenter or a test ground for many of the tactics that you're seeing across the country. I can tell you that a lot of people were grateful that I went on your show and I was able to help provide further context. People have been extremely elated to the fact that Donald Trump won our straw poll when we took it a week or two ago. And they're definitely, I keep getting text messages about how they're just wonderfully happy to see that Donald Trump's going to be on the ballot. There's a lot of support for Donald Trump. And I think push comes to shove, you're going to see that at the end of the day, he's going to be our nominee. And that's why we saw these efforts by the Democrats. They're afraid
Were you able to get more donations as well? Because I know that you said that you weren't receiving any support from the RNC. And obviously, we know that now there's national calls for Ronna Romney to resign. And I said it, I've been saying it for a long time now. And I'm glad that Vivek, who we also had on the show a couple days ago, is, really beating that drum because it needs to happen. But have you received any more donations since you came on the show? Have people been more generous in terms of their time and their money and helping you guys defeat these radical Soros-funded progressive leftist communists?
A little bit, not anything earth-shattering, and I suspect that's because no one thought that it was possible. But I assure you, it is possible.
Yeah.
The Colorado Supreme Court could still come in and say, "Sorry, we disagree," because the judge found that Donald Trump did indeed engage in an insurrection. She just ruled against removing him because she felt that the Section 3 didn't apply to him for the presidency. So this isn't over yet. We still have a long road. And I suspect that if they really are afraid that Joe Biden's going to lose, they're going to do whatever they can to prevent Donald Trump from getting back on that ballot and getting to the White House.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? Because we had closing arguments in the case on November 15th. And then today, of course, in a shocking decision, right, the judge ruled in favor, it seems, of President Trump. And he's now, Jenna Griswold, to her disdain, is going to have to put Trump on the ballot, correct?
Yeah, she's definitely not happy about it. And her statement will kind of show you where she's at on it. I think ultimately.
What's her statement? Do we have that? Did she release a statement yet?
Yeah, it's up on the Colorado Secretary of State's website.
Do you want to read it? You can read it live on air if you want, because we haven't seen it yet.
I don't have it up in front of me. All I can tell you is
the Colorado Secretary of State's office, you said, so we'll pull that up right now. I just didn't know if you had it in front of you.
Right, I don't have it in front of me, but she basically said, there's an opportunity to appeal this, and she wants to pretend that she's above the fray. She's not. She's hoping that the petitioners will appeal to the Colorado Supreme Court to buy her more time not to certify Trump to the ballot. Ultimately, she's going to lose, and rightfully so. These people are phonies. They pretend to care about elections and the integrity of them, but they're the ones undermining it, but trying to remove the ability for people to vote for the candidates they want to vote for. And in this case, it's Donald Trump. He is the leading contender for the Republican nomination and is even beating Joe Biden in many of the recent polls. So this is election interference, and I'm happy that she can, go to bed crying at night.
Yeah, especially because this is a woman who doesn't want Donald Trump on the ballot, but this is a woman who actually sent out 33,000 mailers to illegal aliens several months ago. So she doesn't want Trump on the ballot, but she literally sent a solicitation out. And then when it happened, she goes, "Oops, sorry, that was an accident." Yeah, that's not an accident. Okay, we know what your agenda is. We know what you're trying to do. And so it just goes to show you how compromised our elections really are. And I saw that they went crazy, and I want to give you a lot of props for not condemning me and not condemning Carrie Lake either, because I saw that the local media in Denver went crazy, and they wrote all these hit pieces, the Denver Post, and I called the Denver Post out, and they ended up getting ratioed because one of their opinion columnists is one of the petitioners that was signed on with this lawsuit, and they never on their website once disclosed that. They never disclosed that their paid opinion columnist host, who isn't just a one-time contributor, she's their full-time opinion columnist, she's the petitioner. It just goes to show you the absolute corruption in our media today.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm not going to throw you or anyone else under the bus. These they're the ones that are the problem, not America First patriots. We're trying to save the country. I mean, we have $33 trillion in debt. We're sending foreign money, our money to foreign countries that should be spent here taking care of Americans. And they're the ones protecting, providing cover to all these deep state, big government politicians. We're not the problem. They're the problem. Yes. And I'm glad you guys ratioed one of that columnist.
Yeah, they were like, oh, Colorado GOP chairman Dave Williams says that the elections are not fair. There's never going to be another fair election. And it's like, yeah, that's how majority of our country feels. They acted like it was such a scandal. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. We have the statement here now. We're going to pull it up so that people can see it. So we'll get it up on the screen. But the Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, released a statement shortly after the ruling saying, quote, the court determined that Donald Trump is eligible to be placed on the Colorado ballot in the March presidential primary. This decision may be appealed. As Secretary of State, I will always ensure that every voter can make their voice heard in free and fair elections. Yeah, so her first thing to say is, oh, it might be appealed. So she should have just said, the decision was the decision, and I will do my job to make sure that everybody's voices are heard. But of course, she can't control herself because we're talking about a rabid communist. Okay, this woman was in attendance at the Spy Museum at the conference I exposed in May, hosted by the founder of CARE, David Becker, and of course we know that CEIR, Eric, he's the founder of ERIC and CEIR. It's SARE. That's the organization that, of course, received over $69.5 million from Mark Zuckerberg in 2020 to steal our election. And she's a part of this group called EOLDN, Election Official Legal Defense Network, that is comprised of these radical progressive leftists funded by Soros and Mark Zuckerberg, who are receiving pro bono legal representation to do exactly this, right? Interfere in our elections. And of course, right, there would be outrage. There would be outrage if she was using taxpayer dollars to carry out this lawsuit and to participate in this effort against Donald Trump. And that is why, of course, they created this group EOLDN, because they needed to have a pro bono group that provided representation to these communist SOEs who are trying to remove Trump on the ballot. What do you think about that? And do you think that she's being ethical with the use of her funds in the Secretary of State's office, or do you think that she is perhaps also misappropriating funds for election interference?
No, absolutely not. She's a partisan, a hyper partisan Secretary of State that uses taxpayer dollars to consolidate power for her party and herself. That statement that you just read, the first paragraph of it, there's only one word to describe it: horseshit. That's what it is. She's talking about how she wants to defend the integrity of elections, but here she is trying to undermine them by removing a candidate from the ballot and disenfranchising voters. It's doublespeak. It's bullshit. And I think we as America First Republicans and conservatives need to start calling it out and fighting back. The reason we lose is because we don't counterpunch. We all, not we, but the leaders of the past have failed to mount a proper defense and a proper fight against these guys, and that's why they've been able to take the ground that they have. But I'm so grateful for the Make America First movement, the America First movement, because now we got some people with some spines that are standing up to these bastards.
Well, Dave, I know that you've had a busy day, and I really want to thank you so much for coming on. Any last statements, any last thoughts about this? Because we have other guests coming on as well to talk about this tonight. But you were so gracious to come on at the last minute when I called you, because this literally just happened about an hour or so ago. Any last thoughts, any last requests from the viewers watching, anything that you think people need to know?
Yeah, you bet. First off, I want everyone to understand the only reason the left is doing this is because they're afraid that Joe Biden is going to be defeated by Donald Trump. That's number one. Number two, if we're going to make sure that Joe Biden is kicked out of the White House, then we all need to pull together. It's an all hands on deck moment. So please visit our website at cologop.org and find out how you can help us ensure that Donald Trump remains on the ballot.
Wonderful. And where can people follow you on social media? And I know that the Colorado GOP also has a Twitter account. What's that?
Sure. You can follow me at Rep Dave Williams, REPDAV Williams, or at COLOGOP. Again, that's at COLOGOP. And I'll connect with you and share with the world everything that we're doing to protect Trump's right to be on the ballot.
Well, thank you. Thank you for standing firm and standing tall. It's really important because so many of these GOP chairmen are just absolute cucks. They just they kind of lay over and they take it from the GOP establishment. They take it from everybody. And you're fighting back, and you won with limited resources. And so this is really impressive, and I commend you. And shame on the media, right? Shame on a lot of the Republicans as well. I haven't really seen any of them. Have you done any interviews today aside from my show? I mean, I imagine you would think that you would be the most popular person right now in terms of interview requests, but I just have to keep on reiterating this and poking the bear, because I just want everybody to see how the Republican Party lets people like you not have a platform and not have a voice when they should be amplifying your message. How many people have reached out to you today and asked you to come on and talk about this?
A few local outlets, and then Newsmax, to their credit, and then of course you. But before, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Donald Trump's legal team did a great job. The former Secretary of State, Scott Gessler, was his attorney, and he performed brilliantly. So it was a group effort. His team and our team were happy to work together to make sure that he could be voted for come Super Tuesday. So I want to give them credit. They're amazing.
Wonderful. Well, Dave, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. And your website one last time before I let you go.
Sure. It's cologop.org. Again, that's cologop.org.
Amazing. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Keep up the fight.
You too. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Wow. Incredible. So way to go, Dave Williams and the Colorado GOP and President Trump's legal team. Big victory. I needed some good news because I'm just so used to seeing Donald Trump get screwed over, and it's just a lot. It's a lot to deal with. It's so negative, and I don't know. I don't like it. I was really shocked. I was sitting there thinking, oh, God, I'm going to have to talk about Colorado tonight and just talk about how terrible these people are, and it's just going to be so depressing. And then I saw the news come in about Arthur and Goron denying the mistrial, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is really great that finally a victory for President Trump. He deserves it. Before we move on to our next guest, of course, I want to thank my sponsor of Loomer Unleashed tonight, Field of Greens. As you know, Black Friday is coming up. Thanksgiving is this week, and Black Friday is going to be this coming Friday in 1 week, exactly from today. And so you know what that means? Black Friday is a day where people get all their sales. They go shopping, sometimes for themselves, their family members, and you could buy people a lot of different types of gifts. You can get all types of things that are just going to be in your garage or things that are going to end up in your closet. And, we all have junk. Material things come and go. But one thing that you can also give somebody is the gift of health. And that's why I like Field of Greens. And it's finally here. Okay, we have the fieldofgreens.com Black Friday sale, and it's on right now, and it's absolutely incredible. Right now, all throughout Black Friday, you can get up to 30% off your Field of Greens products, and I have it here because, as you know, if you watch my show, I drink it on every single episode. You go to fieldofgreens.com right now until Black Friday, and you can get 30% off when you use code VIP. That's code VIP at checkout. And you guys, you know how much that I love Field of Greens. And so many of you guys have been seeing incredible results as well because I read your messages in the chat and I see when I drink it. And we'll go ahead and do that right now, actually. Got to get my daily dose of vegetables. 1 little spoonful. That's all it takes. And you got the spoon. I like it. Tastes good. Light, refreshing. Very easy, guys. It's light. You could bring it with you when you travel. It's not going to be too bulky. You do not need to refrigerate any of this as well. You see, real organic superfood. You take it and you mix it. And you drink it. I probably could have mixed it a little bit more. Got some of it on my teeth. But it's good. It's really refreshing. And I'm not selling you guys a junk product, right? I'm not giving you something that I don't use. I use this product. I have it in my house, and I, of course, have it here at my studio as well. And I enjoy it very much. So what are you going to get when you drink Field of Greens? Well, you're going to get more energy throughout your day. Your skin's going to look healthier. It's going to help you with digestion. My stomach feels better. I have always had stomach issues ever since I was a kid, and I'm always, getting nauseous. I get migraines as well, and so it does actually. I've noticed that since I've been drinking it, I feel just don't really get as much stomach agitation when I'm doing my 3-hour-long shows, and usually at night is when I get stomach pain. Your hair and your nails grow faster and they look healthier. That's true. I definitely have seen, my nails, they've grown a lot faster. And you're just feeling better and healthier overall. So I personally can vouch for this product. It's why I drink it. And I promise that it's going to be one of the best things that you can add to your life for better health. And that's why I'm encouraging all of you to get in on this massive sale, and you can get up to 30% off your order. So again, you can see the website here. You're going to want to go fieldofgreens.com, and enter code VIP. VIP, you guys, get it now. That's fieldofgreens.com. And you don't have to wait till Black Friday. The sale is on right now. Everybody's going to be shopping on Black Friday. This sale goes all throughout Black Friday. They have all types of supplements, all types of drinks. Fieldofgreens.com, promo code VIP for up to 30% off. I know that I'm going to be shopping there because I'm going to be getting people these supplements as well, because I like getting people gifts that are actually going to impact their life and things that people can actually use in their day-to-day life, as opposed to, guessing what somebody wants and then they just lie to you. Yeah, I love that gift you got me. And then, they shove it in their closet and they never use it. But you're going to want to drink this. You're going to want to use this. You don't always get your daily dose of vegetables and fruits, but with Field of Greens, you will. So fieldofgreens.com, code VIP at checkout. You're going to get up to 30% off. It's going to be great. Alrighty. Well, in a few moments now, we're going to be bringing on my next guest, Ken Matthews. Ken's really wonderful. Ken used to have a syndicated radio show in the Pennsylvania area, and he was one of the frequent fill-ins for Rush Limbaugh. There's not many people that were allowed to fill in for Rush Limbaugh's show, and Ken Matthews was one of them. And I used to go on his show a lot back in the day. Ken's a great guy. He's a friend of mine as well, and he is now running the Ken Matthews Report, because, as we know, we're living in a cancel culture era. And Ken Matthews was canceled from his syndicated radio program. But now Ken has his own show. It's called the Ken Matthews Report, and he's going to be joining us here momentarily. We're going to talk about a lot of things. One of the things that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to play these clips for you now, is you may have noticed, as I said in my monologue, and I know we had to pivot because we had this breaking news report tonight about Colorado, but as I said this week when I debated Dave Smith on Zero Hedge, okay, we have a really serious problem in this country right now and around the world, where you have people really just kind of like normalizing Islamic terrorism and sympathizing with Islamic jihadists and radical amounts of Jew hatred. And it's becoming very uncomfortable. And we're going to play some of these videos for you tonight. And I believe we have Ken connected now. Ken, can you hear me? I apologize for that. There is currently a massive rainstorm where I'm broadcasting out of, and it knocked the internet out. So you can hear it. I don't know. You probably can't hear it, but I can from the studio. Very, very violent thunderstorms right now in the area. And so that's what happened. So if I go out, I'll be back, because there seems to just be a torrential rainstorm that doesn't want me to connect with my next guest. But I believe that we do have Ken connected. But if it does go out again, that's the situation. Unfortunately, I can't control the weather, because contrary to public belief, the Jews do not control the weather. Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I did. And then my streams would not be interrupted. So we'll be getting Ken back on shortly. But you may have seen these videos, right, of these young Zoomers or even millennials now reading this letter from Osama bin Laden from 2002. And we have the video here, I believe. We're gonna pull up a compilation so that you can see for yourself. We're gonna play it here, and you're gonna be able to see all these young people who seem to think that Osama bin Laden, right, the mastermind of one of the masterminds of 9/11, did nothing wrong and that he's an innocent man. So go ahead and play this clip.
This morning I read Letter to America, which is Osama bin Laden's letter to America explaining why he attacked Americans. And I am ashamed to say that I not only have never read this letter, but I didn't even know this letter existed. It's wild, and everyone should read it. If you haven't read it yet, read it. However, be forewarned that this has left me very disillusioned, and I feel the same exact way I felt when I was deconstructing Christianity. I feel a little bit just confused, like I have entered into another timeline. What is this? And yeah, so go read it.
So I just read A Letter to America, and I will never look at life the same. I will never look at this country the same. Please read it, and if you have read it, let me know if you are also going through an existential crisis in this very moment, because in the last 20 minutes, my entire viewpoint on the entire life I have believed and I have lived has changed. Please read that entire letter.
I need everyone to stop what they're doing right now and go read. It's literally 2 pages. Go read A Letter to America. And please come back here and just let me know what you think, because I feel like I'm going through like an existential crisis right now, and a lot of people are. So I just need someone else to be feeling this too.
I need you to stop what you're doing and go read A Letter to America. It is literally the craziest thing I've read in a while. And while I can't say that I'm that surprised, I am pretty shocked. So go read it and tell me what you think, because I really also need to talk to other people about this. And actually, before you even read the letter, I did want to mention, in reading the letter, I could only think of this tweet that I saw the other day. Under settler colonialism, any kind of resistance is branded as terrorist because the only acceptable violence is violence by the occupier.
So this is fucking insane. I just read Osama bin Laden's Letter to America, which I will be going through right here, but it's actually so mind-fucking to me that terrorism has been sold as this idea to the American people, and honestly just so many Western inhabitants within certain nations, that this group of people, this random group of people, just suddenly wakes up one day and just fucking hates you, just wants you dead, wants you gone, and this is all because they believe that they're better than us. Like, that is the root of terrorism. It doesn't make sense. They just hate your fucking nation. But reading this letter, it becomes apparent to me that the actions of 9/11 and those acts committed against the USA and its people were all just the buildup of our government failing other nations.
Who deceive you? My voice just wants to leave
in majority of these situations, and this letter was insanely eye-opening. I really urge everybody to Google and read it, because I thought that I had quite a lot of media literacy, but this takes it to a whole nother fucking level where I was just like, holy shit, like propaganda is genuinely so deeply embedded into our fucking DNA.
Read A Letter to America. You're probably waking up. You probably have a lot of questions. Welcome to the club. But we don't have a lot of time to sit and talk about everything because there's still so many puzzle pieces that we just do not know about.
Go read A Letter to America. Like, seriously, go read it. Type A Letter to America in Google or whatever you use, then come right back. Because this makes a lot more sense. It explains so much, and I guarantee you it's going to blow your mind. And let's talk about it. So go read it, come back. Whew, it's a lot. It's a lot.
deceive you. My voice just wants to leave
Life does not. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey. Are you even paying attention to me right now? I read Osama bin Laden's letter to America.
The way this letter is going viral right now is giving me the greatest sense of relief. If you're Muslim and you've lived in the US since 9/11, you know more truth than the typical citizen. Now it's all coming to light because of Palestine.
Hey, are you even paying attention to me right now?
And so with that, we now have Ken Matthews connected. And Ken, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Great to have you here with us tonight. I apologize for that. We're having a massive rainstorm here, and it knocked the modem out. So we have monsoons here sometimes. I live in Florida for people who want to know where I broadcast live from. And you probably can't hear it, but here in the studio, you can just hear tons of raindrops on the ceiling right now because a massive storm knocked out the modem momentarily. So that's why the screen went dark. But how are you doing?
I am doing great. I thought for a minute there it was the deep state.
Yes, they're after us. They are after us. I said earlier, I said that's just further proof that the Jews, right? The Jews do not control everything because oftentimes we're told that the Jews control the weather. And here I am, I'm Jewish. My own show's getting interrupted. And so I don't know what all these jihadists and these, the pro-Palestinian people are saying when they say the Jews control everything. You think I'm going to ruin my own show if I can control the weather?
No, I think based on your hair, which looks great, I don't think you'd want to risk the weather.
I don't want to risk it. But, first time you're on my show, I was explaining to people before you got on your background. You can go ahead and tell people as well. But I was just sharing with them how, you're one of my close friends. Also, you were a syndicated, very successful, you still are very successful, syndicated radio host out of New York, and you were one of the few people that was friends with Rush Limbaugh, who he actually allowed to host his show on days when he couldn't do his show. And you did this, of course, during the time that he was sick as well. And so a lot of people came to know you if they listened to the Rush Limbaugh show or also your own show on the radio. And then, like me, you got canceled. You got canceled for living in this cancel culture era that we're unfortunately living in today. And now you have your own show, the Ken Matthews Report. But you are obviously very well versed in politics, and I know. But I was on your show for several years, and many of the times that I was on, we would talk about these issues of the Islamification of America. And so when I thought, who am I going to have on my show tonight to talk about these issues? I thought you, because you've been around for so long. Okay, you've been broadcasting for years, and kind of just wanted to get your perspective, right? As somebody who's been in the media industry for so long, Ken, are you shocked to see mainstream media voices sympathizing with Hamas? I mean, when you look back and see how the media reacted, and you live in Pennsylvania, right? So Pennsylvania, of course, was impacted by 9/11. What are you thinking when you see all this normalization in the media now for Hamas and all these terrorist organizations and now bin Laden? I mean, did you ever think that after 9/11 we were going to have people saying that bin Laden was right and that bin Laden did nothing wrong and bin Laden was innocent?
Well, the interesting thing about this, Laura, is it's a 21-year-old letter. So, I mean, this is what bin Laden wrote in rage and anger, which many of us read, and it was published and it was in the media in whatever the weeks or days after 9/11. So the fact that a bunch of millennials are discovering it now, because they were like 8, 9, and 10 when all this happened, that's what makes it even crazier. And what I always get a kick out of with the media, they'll grab one thing and they don't vet it. They don't do the research. It's just the flavor of the day. And to answer your question, it doesn't surprise me, because they do this with everything. I mean, I was watching your segment before with Dave Williams, and hats off to all the Republicans in Colorado. There's so many people across the country that are in this fight at the grassroots level and are proving that most of the people we sent to Washington are useless. So you people at the grassroots level stay in the fight. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, whether it's Benghazi, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's January 6th, the media has its story and its narrative. They're not going to deviate from it. And if they have to dig up a piece of evidence that's 20 years old to feed into the machine. So people go, wow, it's all here. Here's what Dr. Osama bin Laden said, you know?
Right. I guess it's just crazy too, because you were talking to me and, you know, you have your show and we're both now, right? You've had your show longer than I've had mine. And it's funny because offline we're talking, oh, so you're going to come on my show. I'm going to come on your show and, you know, talking about the structure of things. But it's just crazy to me how you can go from having such a successful career in radio. I mean, literally guest hosting for Rush Limbaugh, okay, the king of radio, the king of talk radio, and you're canceled. And yet people that are actually praising Hamas and, you know, essentially calling for the genocide of Jews are allowed to have full-blown access to mainstream media networks where they're inciting, you know, genocidal sentiments on CNN and MSNBC towards Jewish Americans and riling up these jihadist protesters. It's just very backward. And so I don't know how you feel about that, but it's just a shame that voices like yours get deplatformed. And I look at what MSNBC is doing, and they're literally allowing for Islamists to have primetime spots where they spew their nonsense and make excuses for the killing of innocent Americans and Israelis. What do you think?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you bring up the mainstream connection. I think, and we talked about this the other day, or we may have spoke about it today on the phone, but we are at such a turning point. We're finally at mass saturation. The truth has finally caught up with the propaganda. It was very difficult to do, but because of people like yourself, because of podcasters, and I call them fellow truth seekers and truth speakers, because there's such a concentration now of really good journalists and broadcasters that have migrated away from the propaganda machine, that people are leaving mainstream media. I mean, the morning television shows have become a joke, Laura. You know that.
Well, tell people your background as well, because I gave a little bit of a synopsis, of course, but just explain to people, you know, because you had extensive background, right, and work experience in the mainstream. So go ahead. I mean, obviously it doesn't get bigger than co-hosting for Rush Limbaugh, but why don't you explain, you know, just how entrenched you were with these people?
You're too kind, but way too kind. But I was on the air for 42 years. I started my career. I did about almost 25 years of music radio on morning shows around the Northeast. I think the farthest west was Cincinnati. And in 2006, I think, I made the career shift. And I said, and if you remember, Laura, in 2006, that's when the Obama Messiah came down from heaven. Remember? And he was embraced by all the children and the soccer moms. Do you remember that moment?
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that moment and I said, this is BS. There's something not right here. Something's going sideways. And I couldn't talk about that in music radio. You can't. So I told my wife, who looked at me like I was crazy, but that's a regular thing. We've been married 33 years. So she actually did that today about 4:00. She gave me the crazy look, like, what the hell are you doing? But I got into talk radio then, and I did about 7 or 8 years in Philly. I did 8 years in Harrisburg. Back in the spring of 2017, I was very interested in getting in, you know, doing some guest hosting for Premiere. I did a quick hit with Buck Sexton. Somebody heard me do Buck Sexton. Then I got a call from Bo Snerdley, which was a life-changing call. And then I did 4 years of Mr. Limbaugh's show, and I did the last 2 shows for Mr. Limbaugh, which was truly an honor. And then immediately following that, I launched my own syndicated show on a smaller syndicated company at the end of 21. And I don't know, did you ever hear the full story? I won't drag it out, but did you ever hear the full story of how I lost my syndication deal or no?
I've heard the full story because we're friends, of course, but
yeah,
you
I
can
can't
go
remember.
ahead. Yeah, I mean, you can give a brief version as well, you know, to the viewers.
I can give you,
just tell them. But I've heard it, but I just think it's ridiculous. And obviously, I mean, just compared to what we're seeing now. I mean, the reason you got canceled compared to what we're seeing now that's allowed on TV right now, and
I know
the rhetoric that is literally getting people killed. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say this. There are people, there was a Jewish man who lost his life in California because he was hit over the head with a bullhorn by one of these radicalized Palestinian protesters. So
I saw that story.
I'm not just screaming and saying, oh, people are going to die. People are going to die. People are getting killed and people are being violently attacked in America because of this. There's a fine line between free speech and incitement and support of terrorism. So, but yeah, go ahead and share with everybody. Yeah.
The horrible thing about that elderly man who was involved and he was on the street. I saw one news platform, and I forget which one it was, and they said, man injures head at protest. And that was the headline. And I said, wait a minute. Did someone else injure their head? Because I know the guy that got his head smashed and thrown to the ground and smashed on the ground, but I don't remember. So this is the other game that people play. They redo. They not only change the narrative, they change the language, and they devalue some people and value others. And that's the despicable thing about media. So very quickly, for people who are new, and again, thank you, Laura, for having me on your show, because your audience is huge. And, you were talking about, you've done how many shows now? 10?
Just 10. Yeah, but I highly recommend that everybody goes and checks out your show because it's a different format than mine. But, it's earlier. I do a live show.
Yeah.
And but I would encourage everybody who watches my show to also watch your show. And at the end, you can let everybody know where they can follow you. But Ken is also, you're going to find news from Ken that you're not going to find anywhere else. And that's why it's such a shame that his show got taken off. And you'll tell everybody why. But it's just, he is so great. And I highly recommend you guys get to know Ken Matthews if you don't already know him.
Well, that is so nice. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back with, because I've been in the business so long, you probably can't tell, I'm 94 years old.
Yeah.
And that's because I use Field of Greens.
You use Field of Greens also. Wow.
Yeah. So just give Laura the credit tonight.
Yeah. Use code VIP. Yeah.
I use Field of Greens. It was so funny because
and he's 94, but he doesn't look like it because he uses Field of Greens.
I don't feel 94 either. In fact, I had 7 spoonfuls before I came on the air.
Oh wow!
So, anyway, long and short of it, as you know, the Bidens are kind of despicable people. A lot of them, especially the men, and Hunter Biden. I've been a big proponent of getting the laptop, all of it released. Oh, before I forget, Laura, I don't know if you heard this. You may have already. Did you know that Mike Johnson did start dumping the January 6th videos?
Yeah, I saw. They said that Mike Johnson was going to release all the tapes and that they were going to put it on some. Yeah, they started releasing some of the tapes on a website and.
Yep, I started watching them.
And I think it's good that he was pressured, right? Because, look, he had to do something because today is the day of the congressional budget, the deadline.
Yeah.
We already know that he caved. He already broke a promise when it comes to not having any more continued resolutions. And I was hammering him all week long. And some people are like, are you going to apologize to Mike Johnson because you said that he was a loser and that he wasn't going to release the J6 tapes? No, I don't need to apologize to these people. They work for me. They work for us, okay? I don't care. I don't care if I offended them. I really don't. If Mike Johnson's offended by what I said about him online, not releasing the tapes, too bad, okay? I'm offended that it took this long, 3 years for us to get the J6 tapes. And if he's doing it, great, cool. But, he also lied about not sending any more money to Ukraine. He lied about not having a continued resolution. And he doesn't get a pass for lying just because he's now all of a sudden claiming that he's releasing the J6 footage. Okay, so what do you want us to do? Like, give you a gold star and a cookie for doing your job? Like, great, you did it. So what? Like, we've been waiting for this for 3 years. We were gaslit and lied to by Kevin McCarthy and Marjorie Trader Green and Matt Gaetz for the last year when they were telling us that they gave all the tapes to Fox News. Come to find out, Fox News never had access to any of the tapes. So, I don't know. People are always like, you need to apologize or be a little bit nicer. And, you don't need to be nice to these people, actually. I think your audio got muted, Ken. I think you muted yourself. We'll bring you back in once you fix it, but you know, this is a major problem in the mainstream media right now, right? Is you have voices that get canceled and they get shut down for speaking out and taking hardline stances on these issues, right? Whether they be Islamic terrorism, whether they be corruption in the Biden family. We saw this with the vaccine mandates, of course. There's a lot of this. And Ken Matthews, of course, has had like I said, a career for 41 years in broadcast media. And yet it could just be taken away from you like that just because you what? Because you have one little slip up on the radio one day. So that's a major problem. We're waiting for, I guess he's having some audio issues on his end and it appears to be muted. His audio appears to be muted, but we will bring him back on soon. Well, he'll be back soon. But speaking of Joe Biden, I'm sure you guys saw the report today that he's not going to be charged. He's not going to be charged. So while President Trump is being persecuted and the judge in the New York City civil fraud case decided that he wasn't going to, grant a mistrial, there's reports that Joe Biden isn't going to be charged for his crimes. Joe Biden isn't going to face any accountability. We have you back now. Finally, yes, we have you back. Your audio appeared. It was
me.
Well, your audio appeared to have cut out on your end, and so I'm glad you.
Now that could seriously have something to do with the storm. Now, my regular subscribers, because I've done this for a whopping 14 months, they know that it is a dangerous place in the Ken Matthews broadcast complex. Anything can happen, and cut me off.
Well, this is the thing with live production as well. You know, like unfortunately there is a rainstorm tonight, and these are real life things that happen.
Playing a role in it. I think that's playing a role.
We still want to give people the show. Yeah.
So as long as you have the audio, so long and short of it, I was on what's called a talk back. I had said to my and listeners heard this. In fact, it was recorded. Listeners heard my sound guy saying, "No, you're not on the air." I said, "Are you sure I'm not on the air? Are you sure I'm clear?" "You're clear, man." And then I said, "Good. I got to read you some of the text that this piece of blankety blank blank sent to his mother, Jill." And I said, "Now this is this is Hunter Biden, the son of the president of the United States, talking to his mother, and he was calling her all types of horrible names, and it was horrible."
You can say it. We're not going to censor you here. You don't have to watch your language on this show.
I don't need to say the C word. And he was calling his stepsister. It was despicable. And you realize what a troubled, disturbed man he is. So about 5 or 10 minutes after that, little do I know, my microphone was open. I continued to do my show. 5 or 10 minutes after that, I start getting some texts from people. They're saying, "You're on a hot mic." I said, "What do you mean I'm on a hot mic? We heard you talking about Jill Biden." And then the hair on the back of my neck stood up and I said, "Oh my God, someone's got my mic leaking." So everything I say off the air is going on the air. And then I realized about 40 minutes into it, that was the end of my career. So that's it. There it is. See, I told you I'd make it short.
Well, all you were doing is reading. All you were doing was reading messages, though.
You have so much great stuff on your show tonight, so I just thought.
No, but it's just sad. But that is something that we should talk about, because it's incredible to me the amount of leverage that is given to the left for things that they can say, and all you were doing is you accidentally got caught on a hot mic. You weren't calling Jill Biden the C word. You were reading Hunter Biden's messages, and you were just reading them to your producers, and
exactly.
And obviously,
that's what makes it. That's what makes it worse. And I even remember saying, in like my last 17 minutes of employment there, I remember saying, why don't I just go on and apologize tomorrow? And, I said, if anything, it'll get more attention, because there's a bunch of idiots out there that think I was saying something wrong, or I was cussing at an engineer, or saying something horrible about the Bidens on the radio, which I'm not that stupid to do. And I said, well, apologize. And it'll get a whole bunch of attention. And if anybody's squirmish and they're uncomfortable about Hunter Biden calling his mother these horrible names, well, then they'll get over it, or they'll not listen to the show. But I think the majority of people, I actually got fan mail out of it. I actually got people saying, finally, someone calls it like they see it. And I had to get back in touch with these people and say, no, it wasn't me. Hunter Biden called Jill the C word.
But I think that they overreacted. I do. I think they overreacted because, yeah, obviously they don't want that language on the radio, but at the same time, that you're reporting the news and you accidentally, got caught on a hot mic. But it's just this double standard, and now you are broadcasting independently, not syndicated, and you have your show, but
uncensored,
but
unsyndicated.
People will get to watch that. But what do you think? What do you think about these videos I played before bringing you on? These young Zoomer millennials praising Bin Laden. I mean, you got to hear that compilation. Did it make your ears bleed?
Well, I remember when I was young and in love with me. And I think that's what you get on social media today. That's what you get on social media. I'm sure they read that Osama bin Laden letter, which is, it's hard to take and it's hard to break it down and understand all the aspects of it. And that's all it doesn't take a lot to trigger people. But remember, Laura, that's part of the narrative. This is the narrative they need and they want. So they're not gonna take a beat. They're not gonna take a breath and say, let's sit on this letter for a few days and discuss it first. No, they're gonna go look at this letter and then they're gonna go, gosh, I hope I get some clicks on social media. How's my hair? So, I mean, considering the human brain doesn't even fully develop until you're 25, I mean, I keep that in mind all the time when I watch social media.
Well, I think it's really dangerous, though. You have the Guardian that published this letter, and now what you have is you have all these young people, right? One of the most popular social media apps now, where you have 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, you have all types of people consuming this information, and millions of people are seeing it. I mean, you said it perfectly yourself that the mainstream media has really been replaced by independent journalism and social media, or as you said, the truth has caught up with the propaganda. Well, also propaganda can catch up with the truth, right? And so just as you have truth catching up with propaganda, you also have this dangerous cycle where propaganda can trample the truth. So you have people that are disputing propaganda with truthful statements, but then you also have the ability for people to create a pro-Islamic terror message to try to justify the actions of radical Muslims and to justify the actions of Jew haters and people who want to obliterate Israel. And it's like what I said in my monologue tonight is that the United States of America is only 247 years old, okay? When you look at Islam and the reign of terror they've been carrying out throughout the world over these last 1,400 years, how does Osama bin Laden, or how do these, new fans, these fanboys and fangirls on TikTok and all of these people that seem to be so in love with Osama bin Laden and his letter to America, how do they justify the other 1,200 years, right? Because the United States of America is younger than Islam. And where do we go from here, Ken? How do we explain to these people that the United States of America isn't as old as Islam? Because it doesn't seem like they're teaching civics in school anymore. And anybody who had any basic understanding of history would be able to understand this after reading Osama bin Laden's letter, which is just an attempt to gaslight Americans and blame them for the actions of people that will gladly, right, take their allegiance to the Quran, and to be a perfect Muslim, right? From our studies of Islam, it's to worship and idolize and emulate the actions of Muhammad, who is viewed as the perfect man, the perfect person, the most perfect being. For Muslims, it's who they all aspire to be. And we know that Muhammad was a warlord. Muhammad was a murderer. Muhammad was a rapist. Muhammad was a pedophile. Muhammad was a slave owner. Okay. He killed Jews. He killed Christians. He kept them as slaves. He raped the women. Okay. So my question is that how are we supposed to function as a society when so many of the youth of this country are just so brainwashed and so hopelessly lost?
So many are, and that's such a great question because they're, there's so few people that even know our history, and we are such a young country. I'm shocked and amazed at people on network television that are clueless about the Constitution, and they're clueless about, Articles of Federation and Declaration of Independence, and God forbid you bring up the Magna Carta or something. If you go back beyond Kennedy, it's like, whoa, and the sad part of the misrepresentation of this issue that you're discussing is it's really, I think you can capsulize it like this, and you probably know more about this than I do because you've studied it more. But as far as I know, Islam is the only religion where your option is you either convert, you worship it, or you're eliminated. As far as I know, that's
convert, submit, or die. Convert,
right.
submit, or die. Exactly. Yeah,
So
it's true.
That to me, if I was teaching, and I'm a substitute teacher, but I certainly wouldn't teach that in class. They wouldn't let me near that. But that's the reality. The reality is simply this. If you want to, everybody likes to say all religions are the same and all this is the same and all that is the same. Well, as far as I know, if you've read, and I haven't read all the Quran, but I own 2 copies of it because, when 9/11 jumped off, I was like millions of other people in this country, like, what the hell's happening? What is happening? So I did a lot of my own research. And the one thing my takeaway was, so let me get this right. Either I worship Muhammad, or I'm enslaved to Muhammad, or you kill me. That's not a very good deal. That's not very nice.
And I see that you also have a copy of Loomer behind you as well. You've got my book.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Actually,
I saw that.
If it's okay, I just want to.
I saw that.
Just promote my book.
But you're absolutely right.
I'm like super Loomer tonight.
Wow, you're super Loomered. You got so Loomered tonight.
But I don't
you're
know
right though. You're so
What's that?
right, though, Ken. And I will say that there's actually more Jew hatred in the Quran than Hitler's Mein Kampf. OK, there have actually been studies on this as well, and mathematical analysis that compare the amount of Jew hatred and the genocidal calls to kill for Jews in the Quran compared to what's in Hitler's Mein Kampf. And there's more Jew hatred in the Quran than Hitler's Mein Kampf. So what is incredible is that as a member of Congress, how would you feel if a member of Congress went in and they took their oath on Hitler's Mein Kampf? What would you feel if a member of Congress took their oath of office on Hitler's Mein Kampf?
Well, it would be awkward, but I know where you're going with this, and I do agree that because we are a nation based on Judeo-Christian principles, there's a reason that you swear in on that.
Right. But think about this. You wouldn't be allowed to take your oath of office on Hitler's Mein Kampf, okay? But then you're allowed to take your oath of office on the Quran when the Quran has more Jew hatred in it than Hitler's Mein Kampf. And then we see how crazy this is just this week as well, as these Palestinian rioters were trying to storm the DNC. And we have some footage of that as well. I'll get your take on that. But you have these Palestinian rioters and how Rashida Tlaib then is censured from Congress. And then we find out that she's a member of this pro-Hamas Facebook group in which they were glorifying Palestinian terrorists who were killing people. Okay, so this is the problem. How are we supposed to combat this when these people are inside of our government? Okay, and the Republican Party is too feckless, too cowardly. They're too squishy to address these issues. We have some footage here we're going to play. This is from Chicago. This was actually filmed outside of a restaurant that one of my friends owns. I don't know if you hear what they're saying, but they're saying Intifada revolution, Intifada the solution.
Yes.
Yeah, Intifada is basically a call for global jihad. Okay,
That's
it's a call.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, whenever I see this, the first thing I think of, obviously, the religious, the spiritual, cultural implications. I say, don't those people have a job?
Yeah, and it's
I mean,
scary. You're right.
where does this pop off all the time? You hear about that's one thing these protesters have time for, like the people that were at the where were they, at the DNC headquarters, or is that where they were trying to get him out in Washington? I think
They were trying to get into the DNC headquarters, and it's funny. It is ironic, and I said this in the monologue, before I brought you on tonight. It is a bit ironic that the party that emboldened all these Jew haters and these jihadists and the party of Islamic immigration and refugee resettlement now has these animals at their front doorstep, okay? And I call them animals because they are animals. I'm not talking about Muslims when I say that. I'm saying the people that are trying to break into these buildings, okay? And they're calling for from the river to the sea, whether they are queers for Palestine, confused white liberals, black supremacists and Black Lives Matter, or jihadist Muslims. These people are animals. They are behaving in an animalistic manner, and it needs to be called out. It is totally incompatible with Western civilization. It is absolutely uncouth and uncivilized, and we have to call it out. There is a difference between free speech and incitement and support of Islamic terrorism. You can have legitimate, peaceful criticisms of Israel. You do not need to support Israel if you don't want to. That is constitutionally protected speech. But we cannot deny what is happening right now. And it is a whitewashing of Islamic terrorism, and it is a whitewashing of genocidal calls for the eradication of Jews. And you know what? Christians need to start calling this out too, because it's not just Jews. There's a weird alliance taking place right now I've seen between some Muslims and some Christians who are saying, Israel's wrong and we have to criticize these people. Christians are the most persecuted people in the world, okay? If you go and you look at what's happening in Africa right now, Christians are being slaughtered by Muslims as they have for generations. And so I would really implore Christians, you don't have to be a Jew to sympathize with the Jews that are being killed and the Jews that are under attack in America right now. These Muslims will come for Christians, and they will come for Jews, they will come for Hindus, they will come for anybody who is non-Muslim, okay? Look at what happened in Kashmir. Okay, look at the way that they have slaughtered thousands of Hindus. Look at the way that they have slaughtered millions of Christians in the Middle East and Africa. Okay, this is a serious problem, and it's not just the Jews. What starts with the Jews doesn't end with the Jews, and I'm going to play this clip for you really quick because I want to get your take on it. This is this animalistic riot of jihadist terror sympathizers breaking into the DNC headquarters this week.
Get back now! Get back! Get back! Get back, guys!
Now, I wonder how many of them are going to be arrested and in similar cells with the January Sixers.
I was just about to say that. You beat me to it. I was about to ask you.
Are they going to get the same treatment? Are they going to get no grand jury, no speedy trial, no exculpatory evidence? And are they going to be, and then they're going to be tracked and embarrassed by their families? I wonder if anybody's going to roll up on some of those protesters like they did on some of my friends that were at Jan 6 in black Suburbans and say, are you so-and-so? Can you come with us, please? And
they didn't do that. They didn't say, can you come with us, please? It was more like, get on the ground, FBI, SWAT, with a gun pointed at your head.
You do that really, you do that well.
They're not exactly polite, like, Mrs. Johnson, or hi, Mrs. Matthews. I hear that your husband was in attendance at the pro-Trump rally on the Capitol on January 6th. Can he please step outside? Can we have some crackers and tea with him, please? Yeah, no, it's more like, get your ass on the ground, motherfucker. And I hate to use that language, but if you look at the body cam tapes, that's literally what these FBI agents are saying. There are tapes of FBI agents going in, say, you better get your ass on the fucking ground right now. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Like, that's not me editorializing it, okay? It's literally Gestapo Nazi tactics. And, this is a family show, so sorry for the language. But look, I think that even the young adults or the young children watching need to prepare themselves for what a future Joe Biden's America and what life in the gulag is going to be like. So I think that hearing a couple F-bombs is a lot less severe than living under communism. So that is literally what is happening, though, right? That's not my language. That's the FBI's language. And you can hear it because I know people who have been raided, and I've seen the tapes for myself. myself. I just got back from Mar-a-Lago a couple of weeks ago where I was in attendance at the premiere of Police State, and they played this footage, and you can hear those FBI agents using the F word and trying to break into the homes of moms, soccer moms that are there with their kids. So that's not an exaggeration. And yet it's all like niceties and pleasantries with these Palestinians. Oh, well, yes, we know that these Palestinians tried calling for the eradication of Jews on the campus of Harvard, but we're going to give them a pass, and we understand that they are very traumatized by what is happening right now, and they have internal perpetual victimhood as a Muslim, and so we're going to allow for calls for genocide against Jews on college campuses, and you just have to deal with it. I mean, the excuse making and the double standards, it's disgusting. It literally makes me physically ill, not just as an American and somebody who completely opposes Islamic terrorism, but as a Jew as well. I think about what life is going to be like in this country if people keep on making excuses for the demonization and the killing and the outright slaughter of Jews, which is going to lead to the outright slaughter of Christians as well, because as we know, these people, these Muslims, and Islam, I'm not saying all Muslims, but the teachings of Islam teach them to hate all non-believers. Okay, so if you are not a Muslim, it doesn't matter if you're an atheist, you're an agnostic, you're a Hindu, you're a Buddhist, you're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're not welcome. You're not welcome. Mm-hmm. People need to understand that. It's not just about the Jews and the Muslims. Okay, this is the Muslims versus everybody that doesn't want to convert or submit.
And that attitude to transition to the college campus, I mean, that is the typical leftist approach. And that's probably why they are in alignment so often at this level of extremism, because the typical leftist approach is, well, you can speak at our college, but you can't.
Right.
And if you start speaking, we're going to throw garbage cans at you, and we're going to scream, and we're going to break things, and we're going to mess with your car. And then the college will cave in and say, well, I'm sorry, we can't have that conservative speaker at, woke university because, well, it'll upset the children. But ironically, some of those same children rally around people that kill innocent people. So it's really,
right.
It's a confusing time, but the college campus is ripe for this insanity. I mean, the world is upside down.
No, it really is upside down. And, we can play I want to play one of the clips before I let you go, because we have another guest coming on as well. And you're going to come on again in the future. And I want you to be a regular guest, and I'm going to come on your show. But check out some of this J6 footage as well that we're seeing. You could see some of it it's floating around on Twitter right now. But I guess Mike Johnson now has released some of the tapes. I don't really believe that they're releasing all of these tapes, but there are some tapes.
Not all of them. No, not yet.
There's some of the tapes that are coming out, and they are interesting. And a lot of this is stuff that we've already seen, but people, of course, the House Republicans are going to gaslight everybody into thinking they haven't seen these, even though some of this has already been seen. And you can clearly see video footage of some of these people fist bumping police officers, and the police officers just, twiddling their thumbs as these J6ers walk in with their Trump flags. And it's not exactly this violent scene of Trump supporters beating up cops. And, if these cops are so concerned, and this was really worse than 9/11 and Pearl Harbor combined, and, it's like a modern day Nazi rally in our nation's capital. Why is it that the Capitol Police are fist bumping these people? I mean, I think we have a clip. If we can play it, we could play these clips. You could see these people just sitting there chatting with them.
I think one of the big points of this, Laura, is most of this, if not all, is exculpatory evidence, which you are being denied constitutional rights when people trying to prosecute you are aware of exculpatory evidence and they keep it out. So I think when getting back to we were talking about the truth coming out, I think once people start realizing the reason they were sitting on these tapes for so long is if they released them immediately after January 6th, the entire narrative would have fallen apart. I mean, look at the MAGA shaman or whatever his name was, the guy with all the pain in the horns.
Jacob Chansley.
He was exonerated within a week.
And he's going to come on my show. He's going to come on next week, and he's going to talk about this. And he was supposed to come on yesterday, but we switched. Because we had so much going on this week, we made the show tonight instead of Thursday. It's usually Thursdays because I wanted him on. I wanted to say, Jacob, what do you think about this? You spent time in prison, and you're probably the most famous J6er, and he's a friend of mine. And he just launched a congressional campaign in Arizona as well. So next week we will have Jacob Chansley on. I believe Tuesday he's scheduled to come on. But I asked him, I texted him, I'm like, Jacob, are you seeing this crap? Like, this is out of control. What do you think about this? These people were more violent. You didn't even do anything. You went inside and you spent time in jail. What do you think? And it's really sad. It's really sad how people's lives have been destroyed. They can't get jobs. A lot of these people are, struggling financially. Okay, their wives or their husbands have divorced them. They've lost relationships with their kids. They've been ostracized.
This is all by design, though.
Yeah.
This is all by design. This is you talked about a flex before when you were talking about the Chinese.
What did you think about that? What did you think about that, by the way? I forgot to ask you about Xi trying to run over a United States Marine.
I thought it was an embarrassment to the country and to Biden. I felt, in fact, I did a little segment on my show about it, and I felt terrible for the United States Marine because they're the greatest fighting force in history, and I just don't know how they salute Joe Biden. I don't know how you can even do that anymore. And then to have to stand at attention for a communist dictator and open his door after he almost runs your toe over. I mean,
let's play that clip again, too, because you know what? Before I brought Dave Williams on, we had to cut, and I want to go to the chat while you're on, too, because I want to give the chat an opportunity to answer, to ask you a couple questions, but I want to play this clip. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, if you have time, I wanted to add a little icing to this. This Colorado cake.
Of course,
about Trump. So just let me know.
Yeah, of course. We will. Let's play this clip, and then I want to get people's reaction to it because when we brought Dave on, when we had that breaking news out of Colorado, I want to get the chat's reaction, and then of course I want to give them an opportunity to ask you a couple questions, and then we'll get to Colorado, and go ahead and play this clip. It is so shocking. I cannot even believe this happened. I keep watching in disbelief. I've probably watched this clip about 100 times. Honestly, I just cannot believe that this actually happened. So go ahead.
Ready, two. Ready. We're in. Open the door. Ready. Doors. Ready. Pop. Ready. Ready. Close. Ready. Done.
Yeah, what our men and women in uniform tolerate under the what all our, I will say, warriors and the real men and women that do serve and really protect the Constitution, law enforcement, good feds, not scumbags like Mayorkas and Christopher Wray and James Comey. What they have to tolerate under this administration, what people in the DOJ that really, really love the Constitution and they have a passion for this country and real, the greatness of the country and the brilliance of the Constitution, what they have to tolerate under a Merrick Garland or some of these wackadoo judges that are trying to, which reminds me, did you hear, I sound like such a little gossip girl tonight. Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law, did you see he got arrested?
No.
He got charged with human trafficking and assaulting a 16-year-old.
Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law? Wow.
Yeah.
Of course you don't hear anything about this because it's a Democrat.
I know. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And it's
oh my gosh, I see this on the screen. The producer just pulled it up. Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law. Let's get this full screen so everybody can see this. Breaking news. It's okay. We love we love trash talking everybody in the Democrat Party and the Republican Party here. We call ourselves here at Loomer Unleashed equal opportunity haters. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law.
I was doing the research and it popped up.
Arrested. Wow.
Human trafficking and battery.
This just happened too, 7:47 p.m. Arrested on human trafficking, Florida. Oh my gosh, Florida.
Yeah.
This isn't even Georgia, okay, where she lives. It's Florida, where I live.
You know,
Florida
who knows?
officials.
Maybe they were coming to Florida to start something. Who knows?
Florida officials say Jimmy Gardner engaged in sexual activity with a minor before assaulting her. Gross. Scroll down. Former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams blamed misogyny and racism for the scrutiny. I guess she's going to blame misogyny and racism for the fact that my brother-in-law is a pedophile.
Well, I was just going to say what she's blaming. Oh, she was doing that about Kamala Harris.
Yeah, no, Biden. But I was just saying, is she going to do that
Yeah.
as well for her brother-in-law? Like, is she going to blame it on racism and misogyny? The brother-in-law, former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, a Democrat, has been arrested in Florida on charges of human trafficking, battery, and lewd and lascivious touching of a minor. Ugh, gross. According to the office of the state attorney.
Everybody wants to be Hunter Biden.
Everybody wants to be Hunter Biden. Yes. Jimmy Gardner, he's a youth motivational speaker. So that means that he was trying to use his position as a speaker to youth to go pray and carry out sexual acts against minors. Ugh, God, these people. Jimmy Gardner, a youth motivational speaker and brother-in-law of former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, is facing serious charges of human trafficking and is currently in jail in Hillsborough County. That's not too far. With a bond. Gardner is scheduled to face a judge in his first court appearance in Tampa tomorrow. Wow. Tomorrow. Maybe we should go. Tomorrow. Saturday.
Here it is.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting. Maybe I should go.
Now
I don't know. That's not too far from me. That maybe I should go.
They're going to do everything they can to distance him from Stacey. They're going to say, well, it's a brother-in-law. I mean, it's not like they didn't even know each other.
I'm sure we can find some photos of him campaigning with her. Tampa police stated that the incident occurred early Friday morning at the Renaissance Hotel at the International Plaza when 57-year-old Jimmy Gardner allegedly engaged in sexual acts with a 16-year-old girl before assaulting her during an altercation.
You know, why don't any of these Democrats stay in the hotels that I stay in? Like Motel 6 and the Days Inn. They're always in some high-end hotel. What is up with the Democrats? Where did they get this kind of coin?
Soros, Arabella Advisors.
I mean, I go on a speaking engagement. I sleep in my van down by the river.
I know.
Okay.
Look, these people, man, they're out of control. But let's go to the chat because we didn't get to get their reaction. I wanted to get everybody in the chat. I want your reaction. If you're enjoying this interview with Ken Matthews, press 1 in the chat. But what is your reaction to those of you watching live right now? And also, we are live, so be sure that you're reposting and posting this link everywhere and telling everybody to watch because we want to get as many live viewers as possible. What do you all think about the clip of Xi Jinping and his car trying to run over this Marine? I'm looking at the chat right now. Let's see.
In defense of his driver, I don't know if his driver did it on purpose. That's hard to say. I mean,
it's pretty hard to not look. That was intentional.
I mean, it's hard.
That was a flex, okay?
And I guess if his driver came out and apologized to the Marine, it would be a whole different thing. But you know what I mean? But he didn't. So
people really liked the interview. That was interesting. Yeah, that was a little bit of people are like, what does that have to do with the Marine almost getting hit by Xi? He was giving us a breaking news update, you guys, because of course they dropped this story on a Friday evening so that nobody can see it because they don't want anybody paying attention to it. I certainly didn't see it. I mean, they're going to break this news. The Stacey Abrams story. Yeah, I mean, it just came out. It's said on the Fox News article. So my point is that, of course, they break this news in the evening on a Friday night right before Thanksgiving because they don't want people knowing about it. But I don't know.
Right. And it's got all the, it has all the things that the Democrat Party and a lot of these progressive leftist nutbags are famous for. Abusing children and women, trafficking children and women.
Somebody said Asian drivers are kind of known to run people.
That is true. See, thank you for, I want to be politically correct, but you're absolutely correct. If you see the way they park at the grocery store, how do you expect them? They're probably nervous as hell. I don't want to get on the
He
red
said
carpet. I don't want to get
Asian
on the red
drivers are
carpet.
known for running people over. Let's see.
There
That was
you go.
disgusting, and then for them to yell at the Marine to open his door only made it worse. Yeah, it was.
I don't think the Marine should have had to open the communist Chinese dictator's door. I would think the commie Chinese would come out and their security would do that. But I don't know what the protocol is.
Someone said the driver is driving the leader. Yeah, the leader of China. That's from Howie 2021. He said the driver's driving the leader of China, and that was an intentional BS. Yeah, of course it was intentional. You're not going to have somebody that doesn't know how to drive driving China's dictator around, and then we're gonna like run over this U.S. Marine. It's just come on.
You have someone that doesn't know how to walk or speak. That's our president. So. I don't want to be too hard on the driver.
They said disrespectful to our country and the Marine. They should have reversed and not made the Marine move. I agree.
I think the reverse would have been the right thing. And for all we know, Xi said, you'll back up, I cut your head off. We don't know what's going on in that car.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to hear a little scoop before I go? Can I give you a little scoop?
Yes. Somebody said kind of like how their jets fly super close to ours, right? Yeah.
I'm telling
exactly.
you.
It's so funny. It's not an accident, you guys. Just like they had a spy balloon. Oh, they just happened to have a spy balloon. They just happened to run over the Marine.
Yeah.
They just happen to have their fighter jets right next to ours and their warships right next to us, right? No, guys, this is intentional, and this is a way for China to basically send a message and say, we can F with you. You have a dementia patient. They all saw Joe Biden's reaction at the APEC 2023 summit in San Francisco this week. And apparently
we need to get Dick Cheney to come in and say, that the tire on that red carpet was an act of war, and we need to begin bombing this afternoon. Their time.
So apparently I'm hearing some, let's scroll up really quick. I have the production room here. They're saying that the wife of this guy arrested was Leslie Abrams Gardner, and she's a federal judge who was appointed. So they're saying that his wife was a federal judge who was appointed by Barack Obama and was on Joe Biden's short list of nominees for the Supreme Court, apparently.
Now, aren't you glad I brought that gossip to the game?
Yeah, this is a big story.
Holy
No wonder why
moly.
they dropped this on a Friday night. This is wild. Can we get that article pulled up? Let's get that pulled up on the screen that shows the wife.
You know what's going to happen to this guy, Laura? He's going to be on a paddleboard in Martha's Vineyard, and he's going to die right outside of Obama's house.
Right outside of Obama's home, exactly.
You just watch.
While Obama's there, and then they're going to say, we don't know what happened. We don't know. The guy was naked. He was naked. And he drowned in 4 feet of water. We don't know.
And he was a great swimmer. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we ought to,
Here's the story here. Stacey Abrams' sister, federal judge on Biden's Supreme Court shortlist. So this lady is a judge, and she was going to possibly be selected to be on the Supreme Court. Okay, and we got to get this up on X. We got to get this up on X for everybody to see.
Now, let me ask you something. Was it the husband that got arrested?
The husband of Stacey Abrams' sister apparently is the one that got arrested, from my understanding.
I know
he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile. He got caught.
But he's the one that he would have been the spouse of a federal judge.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, that's standard Democrat stuff, man. That keep it in the family right there.
We got to get this up on X. I think I got to tweet this live. We got to tweet this live. All right. We're going to post it. We're going to post this right now. Okay. All right.
Since everything's going to hell.
Wow. Breaking news. We're going to post a tweet in real time. At Stacey Abrams.
Yup.
Brother-in-law was just arrested in Florida for having sex with a minor.
And assault.
And assaulting this minor. That means that Stacey Abrams, apostrophe S, brother-in-law is a pedophile. Is a pedophile. We're live tweeting here, guys. You get to see the action. You get to see how I enrage the leftists and the rhinos in real time live on my set. That means that Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law is a pedophile, period. Even worse, he is the husband of Stacey's sister.
Who's a federal judge.
Copy and paste the name of that copy and paste the name of the sister up on my Twitter. Leslie Abrams Gardner, comma, what is she, a federal judge in Georgia? Even worse.
Wow.
This is crazy.
Well, maybe she'll preside over the case. That won't be a conflict.
Leslie Abrams Gardner. Even worse, he is the husband of Stacey's sister, Leslie Abrams Gardner, a federal judge in Georgia, right? Is she in Georgia too? A federal judge in Georgia who was on Joe Biden's, tag him, make sure we tag him. Everybody wants to be like Hunter. Who was on Joe Biden's short list. Joe Biden's short list to be selected as a United States Supreme Court justice. Period. That means that Joe Biden was actually thinking of appointing the wife of a pedophile to the United States Supreme Court. That means that Joe Biden was actually thinking of appointing the wife of a pedophile to serve on the United States Supreme Court. Wow. Yep.
Now, what I think this is going to do is call attention. I don't know if you're still. Can you hear me?
I can hear you all right. We're just
Okay.
this is how we do it live in the studio here. Live in the studio when I'm interviewing people and we got to get stuff tweeted out. But what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, first of all, I think it's going to be a wonderful distraction away from 2 days ago, the photo of Hunter Biden from the laptop that I posted. There's a photo of Hunter Biden allegedly having sex with his niece, and he's stoned.
Has this confirmed yet? Because I know that you've seen the photo and you have the photo and you sent me some video.
Now here's the thing about that. I've seen photos and I know a lot of people have. I don't know in the audience, but I know
these are photos from the laptop, right?
Yeah, I saw photos from the laptop, and I can tell you comparatively, they're right in line with. I mean, there are photos all over the laptop of him and his niece and his niece's friends, and they're hanging out and they're in thongs and they're partying. And so it doesn't surprise me.
Yep. His audio just cut out again. We lost you again, Ken, your audio. Ken come back in when he reconnects his audio, but let's just get some live reactions right now. Let's go to the chat in the meantime while we're waiting on Ken to connect, because I want to see. Now you're back. Yes, you're back.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this is the deep state or if I don't think it's my wife.
Well, last thoughts, Ken, before we go, because we have another guest, too, who's going to come on and talk about what it was like loomering Fannie Willis for Loomer Unleashed, one of our Loomer Unleashed contributors, Charles Downs. What do you think is going to happen with this? How do you think this is going to play out? And you were just explaining before your audio cut out about how you think this is a distraction to Biden's current investigations.
Well, I can't help but wonder, seriously, all kidding aside, if it is not just a distraction. And it's funny how this is so standard among some of the left and accepted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And please tell Charles when he comes on, I'm a fan of him over at National File. And
he's actually not at National File anymore. He's now officially with Loomer Unleashed. So he's going to be joining Loomered. Yes, he's no longer with them. But he's going to be joining Loomered. Yep, Loomered and Loomer Unleashed.
So, do you want me to leave you with that little icing on the cake?
Yeah.
So, these cases that everybody's filing against Trump, over 30 states, okay? And I can give you a quick rundown of who's been dismissed. Both cases in Michigan, there were 2.
These are the 14th Amendment cases to remove Trump from the ballot, right?
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Now, there's been about a half a dozen voluntary dismissals, meaning that the plaintiffs changed their mind and said, you know what, I don't even know if I want to go down this road. So Idaho, Maine, Trump is cleared to run there. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, of course, that was a voluntary dismissal. But what I want to point out to you while I was researching this, there's one guy that did 23 of these cases. It's the same guy. There's one guy, one man.
One guy, what's his name?
I'm going to bring up my graphics. Can I bring up my graphics?
Go ahead.
Guys, can you bring up the graphics? I'm bringing up the Ken Matthews graphics package.
John Castro.
Anthony Castro. You know who he is? He's running for president in 2024. So he filed all these cases, including Alaska, Arizona, Connecticut, Delaware. All you got to do is look it up. All you got to do is look it up.
Well, the one that was filed in Colorado was filed by Crew.
Yep. It was not filed by him. But if you look,
What's his name again? What's his name again?
His name is John Anthony Castro. He lives in Manfield, Texas. I have his address here if you just don't go by his house, but just in case you're
an
Uber driver.
I've already been accused of doxing once today. We don't need to be accused again.
No, this is not it.
Even though I didn't dox anybody.
Yeah. This was public record. But I just wanted to point that out, that this is an example of how desperate and how coordinated and how ridiculous this is. We have the impression that there's all these legitimate cases and there's legitimate constitutional concerns. And in this case, you've got one wingnut, and he happens to be a Republican, but there's plenty Republican wingnuts. This guy is in all the... Do you know, you're going to love this, Laura, he's even got one against Trump in Florida. Castro versus Trump, U.S. District, Southern District of Florida. And it was dismissed. But he's everywhere. Because I was looking this up when you guys were talking about it, and I said, who in the hell is spending the time and the money to try to knock the most popular president in history off the ballot?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out one guy did 23 cases.
And where is he getting the money for this? Who is this guy? Where is he getting the money?
Well, he's raising it independently, and obviously, I think he's getting it. I can't confirm this yet, but I'm sure you will. By the way, he's got a case pending in West Virginia.
Wow.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere. I think he's getting rhino support. I think he's getting support from Republicans who want to try to throw sand in the gears, and then they can turn around if it were to come out.
We'll have to look into this more. Yeah. I mean, it's just out of control. That's really interesting, though. Yeah. I'd never heard of this guy, but wow. Any last thoughts, Ken? I know that I'm going to be on your show in the coming weeks, and you have your Ken Matthews.
We're going to do a Thanksgiving special, I think.
Something. We said we'd do something this week and this coming week.
You said you'd bring food. You said you'd bring food.
I'm going to fly all the way to Pennsylvania. I'm going to cook for you.
Well, please, please. First of all, thank you to your wonderful audience, and thank you to your great crew, the men and women on your great crew. You've just got a great thing going. You're growing, and it's just rocking.
Yeah.
Can I mention my website?
Absolutely. You go ahead and you
It's-
mention your website
Yep.
and where people can follow and watch your show as well.
KenMatthewsMedia.com. If you go there, it'll tell you where to click or subscribe or to follow. And I'm on all the social media platforms. And of course, I do want to give a special thanks to Roger Stone for loaning me this suit.
Oh, wow.
I thought you'd like that, Laura. And then a big shout out for the next president of the United States.
Yes, we love Trump. We love Trump. Do you endorse Trump for 2024?
Of course I do.
All right.
Of course I do.
I want to make
He's
sure
the
you're
only
not one
one.
of these desimps.
No. And he better, I got to tell you, if they steal it in 24, I don't know what happens to the nation. I think the wheels are coming off.
Yeah. I think the wheels are already off. They're already off, and we're going to be a communist country. So I just really
Well, that's
hope.
the spirit.
I mean, people need to understand this is the most important election of our lifetime, and it's
It is.
really scary what's happening. You even have Trump haters like Michael Rappaport. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, my God.
But
That guy's
Michael
a
Rappaport,
lunatic.
the guy's like always attacking Donald Trump, and he was like, I might have to vote for bleep, 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 cuss word, Donald Trump because I just can't take it with Joe Biden anymore. So some of the most notorious, vulgar Trump haters are now coming out saying, all right, guys, it's just too crazy. We may have to vote for Trump just because it's too crazy. So I think that Trump has a lot of momentum right now. People's eyes are being woken up, especially as they see our border being invaded. Okay, inflation through the roof. They see China encroaching and Joe Biden asleep at the wheel. It's out of control, and I think that this conflict and the way that we have like full blown jihadist terrorist recruitment events happening on the streets of major American cities is making people say, "Whoa." This is getting really scary, and we really need to have somebody who isn't asleep at the wheel in the White House right now, or else we're going to possibly have another 9/11, or we're going to have massive violence in the streets of America. We already are having massive amounts of violence. So we have to vote for Trump to save America. We really do. And I don't care about the Republican Party. I don't care about the Democrat Party. I'm registered as a Republican because I live in Florida and I have closed primary elections here. And I personally cannot wait to leave the Republican Party once President Trump is elected, because the Republican Party currently disgusts me with their fecklessness and their lack of leadership and the way that they have really done nothing to support President Trump in the face of all of these witch hunts. So I'm just really glad that you are on the Trump train. But you're a smart guy.
Well,
that's why we're friends.
I want him to finish what he started. I mean, he did more in 3 years than most presidents do in 8. And I just think I think this is the awakening that's happening, Laura. I think people are seeing the way innocent American citizens are being treated, and they're seeing Trump be everybody's whipping boy. And even, like you said, Michael Rappaport, they're either going to come over because Biden is so horrific, or some people will just throw up their hands and say, this guy's getting railroaded. I mean, his black voter numbers and Hispanic voting numbers are through the roof right now. He's trending like, you've seen his numbers, right?
Yeah, he's beating Biden in key states, and that's why they're now trying to whip out Gavin Newsom, right? That's why they whipped him out this last week, and they had a multi-million-dollar fundraiser. But yeah, look, they know the writing's on the wall. I would not be surprised if Joe Biden drops dead, and I'm not wishing ill will on anybody, but he looks so sick at this APEC conference. I would not be surprised if we wake up one morning and they say, oh, we regret to inform you that Joe Biden passed away in his sleep last night before the State of the Union next year. Because are they really going to put this Alzheimer's patient on stage in front of the nation for the State of the Union? No, they're going to pull the plug. They're going to pull the plug before the next State of the Union. And I don't think so. If you looked at these video clips, I mean, look, we have to go soon. And so they're on my Twitter for people that want to see them. But you see these clips I posted. You see the world leader, Joe Biden, yesterday at the end of the APEC conference. He turns around and he like taps the world leader. I don't even know who the world leader was, on the back of the shoulder. And the guy's looking at him like, what the hell is this guy doing? What the hell hell is wrong with this guy? And you have people, they're not even like excited to see Biden. They're like, look at him like, whoa, somebody get this guy a doctor. He just looks ill. He's giving a toast, and he's giving the fakest sip of sips I've ever seen in my life, which is another tell that he has dementia or Alzheimer's, because if you are taking medications for these conditions, you're not allowed to drink alcohol. I don't know if you saw the fake toast that he gave, where he's like, oh, I'm going to pretend like I'm drinking out of this cup and give a toast and say bon appetit. And then he goes, he didn't even put it in his mouth. It was like he put it to his, oh, here. We have the video. We're going to play it. We're going to pull it up. Give me a second. We're going to pull this up. We're going to pull it up right now just because I know it's like the longest goodbye ever, you know. It's like the longest goodbye. People. It's okay.
Don't hate me, people.
It's all right.
We're having fun.
We have to see this. Because this happened last night, okay?
He should start toasting.
Watch.
Here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, and 1. Holy hell. That was horrific.
Bon appetit.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right, we're going to play it again. We're going to play it again. This is at the APEC conference with Xi Jinping. And mind you, like at Xi Jinping's table, they had, I put this on Twitter the other day, but you can go and find it, the list of the 20 tech executives and corporate America sponsors, like the defense executives, people from Nike, from Apple, from all the tech companies sitting at the main table with Xi Jinping. And this is where Biden was at this dinner with Xi Jinping, and he did the toast. So go ahead, play it again, because this is, just look at this. Is this somebody that you think is capable of leading our country right now? This is so cringe. Play the clip.
I think next time they just need to give them applesauce. Just give them a little jar of applesauce. Yeah, see, if you would have had ice cream, that wouldn't have happened.
Bon appetit.
Wow.
All right, one more time. just we're going to play it without talking over it. We're going to play it without talking over it so people can actually hear the music and see how, one, he's offbeat, and two, he is saying bon appetit. No one's paying attention. Just watch one more time. One more time.
Here, here. Welcome. Bon appetit.
A toast to Biden being removed. Trump 2024. And I'm actually going to drink my water because I'm not a dementia patient.
I'm just gonna fake it.
I don't drink alcohol, but yeah. Should we fake it? Should I like lick it like a dog? Should I like drink it, or what should I do? You know, like what do you do? No, you drink it like a normal person. It's just he looks so weird.
Your regular viewers are like, what the hell is happening? Who is this Ken guy, and why did this go off the rails?
No, this is how it is every episode of Loomer Unleashed. But anyway, Ken, listen, it's been fun. It's been real. I've had a great time, and we're going to have you on as a regular. But where can people watch your show? Because they can go to kenmatthewsmedia.com, and where else can people follow you?
My subscription thing is on subscribestar.com/Ken Matthews, or you can go to Rumble. I'm also on Rumble. What are you laughing at now?
Nothing. I'm just laughing at how I just think these clips are so funny with Joe Biden.
Oh, okay.
I've been laughing at them for 3 days straight.
I mean, and thank God for that. Thank God for laughter. I say my show is all have fun getting to the truth. There's no reason we can't have fun finding it. So,
and where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Rumble. I'm on. There's my Subscribe Star. There's a picture of me and El Rushbo back in the day. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Truth Social. I'm on Rumble. I'm on Gab.
Where? What's your handle?
It's all Ken Matthews, one word on all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, if you just Google me and just scroll down through the hate to get to the good stuff, if you just Google me and then go past the hate, and then we can have fun.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, and thanks so much for also supporting Field of Greens. We love our sponsor, Field of Greens. I see that you're also a fan. Black Friday's coming up. It's next Friday. So make sure that you go to fieldofgreens.com. That's fieldofgreens.com. You see that my friend Ken Matthews is also a friend of Field of Greens, and use code VIP for savings up to 30% off at Field of Greens. But with that, Ken, thank you so much. I really look forward to seeing you again soon and having you on. And thanks for sharing all of that with my viewers. I'll talk to you soon. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
God bless you all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. So, yeah, Ken's great. And he really got railroaded. Right? Really sad because he's a great guy and his show is really fabulous. And he used to fill in for Rush Limbaugh. We have a clip. We have a clip of Rush Limbaugh. I never got to meet Rush Limbaugh, but he talked about me several times in my reporting. And for those of you who haven't seen the clip, here's Rush talking about some of my investigative reports.
Yesterday in New York City, there was another James Comey book signing event. Conservative journalist Laura Loomer stood up, as many media people do, whenever public figures show up, and started shouting questions at James Comey.
How is it ethical to brief the President of the United States on an unverifiable and salacious dossier? And how is it ethical leadership to not tell him that his political opposition, Hillary Clinton, paid for that? You are not an ethical leader.
Ma'am, you're going to have to leave. You gotta leave.
You're going to get prosecuted, Comey. You're going to get locked up.
Comey, you're going to get locked up. That was, again, Laura Loomer, a conservative journalist. I don't know where she works, but I mean, you have to know that question is right out of my heart. How in the world can you tell the President of the United States about this and lie to him and tell him that this is legitimate intelligence when you know that it's nothing more than Hillary Clinton opposition research? Be back. Hang on, folks. Hi, welcome back. Rush Limbaugh and the EIB Network. Great to have you here. Grab soundbite number 23 and play it again. This is Laura Loomer. She comes from the James O'Keefe shop, Project Veritas. She's now acting independently. She showed up at Comey's book signing event at Barnes & Noble in New York last night.
How is it ethical to brief the President of the United States on an unverifiable and salacious dossier? And how is it ethical leadership to not tell him that his political opposition, Hillary Clinton, paid for that? You are not an ethical leader.
Ma'am, you're going to have to leave. You got to leave.
You're going to get prosecuted, Comey. You're going to get locked up.
All right, now she's got a little bit of a modified tweet storm going on right now. And she says people have told her all her life she's not good enough, never going to amount to anything, and yet she woke up today to 2 links on Drudge from this event, and so she's telling anybody and everybody, be what you want to be the best you can be, and you can do it. Don't listen to people who tell you can't do it. That's ever so true, folks. Do not seek out people who failed at anything and take their advice. They're just going to try to get you to join them in the failure. You do not waste time, especially if it's something you know you want to do. Talk to the people who have succeeded in it. Talk to people who are successes in it and get advice or help from them. But don't waste your time with people who failed at it. They have nothing for you unless they know why they failed and can give you some positive advice in that way. But this is one of the tweets in her storm. Every single reporter who attended Comey's book launch at Barnes & Noble last night and is attacking me should have their journalist card revoked for bending over and not blinking an eye when Comey and his staff said they will pre-screen the questions people can ask. So at these book signings, which Comey's charging money to attend, they're pre-screening all the questions, and people got mad at her for asking. And she's also saying that people are accusing her of acting like a liberal. And her reaction, her answer to that was, no, I'm not like a liberal. Liberals don't ask tough questions. So it reminds me when the drive-bys in the White House press corps chased Neil Monroe all the way to the Washington Monument when he dared ask Obama a question during a no questions permitted presser in the Rose Garden. No questions asked. No questions, every question screened. By the way, in certain instances, I can understand this. But I doubt my reason for doing it is Comey's reason. When I did the Rush to Excellence tour, sometimes we did audience questions, but after the first 2 times or 3 times, I said, we're going to have to start pre-screening them. The reason, you don't know who's going to start standing up and preaching and saying things that make no sense and asking questions that nobody wants the answers to, and time is kind of precious. So for that reason, I always ended up screening the questions, but not for content. I didn't screen out tough questions. I just wanted to make sure that nobody ended up being bored by somebody that was not interesting, entertaining, did not have a question people were interested in the answer to. In Comey's case, I don't know if that's why they're doing it, in the interest of time, or if they just don't want some tough questions. We won't know.
And everybody's watching her, but she's looking at
you. So that was a old school clip. That was like 6 years ago. But yes, we had to give a tribute to the great Rush Limbaugh. That was probably one of the most amazing moments of my career, is being recognized by Rush, who is the king, right? And we miss Rush very much. And my previous guest, Ken Matthews, who you just got to hear from, as he said, he was able to do Rush's last 2 shows. And it's sad, that Ken was taken off the radio for, in my opinion, it was an accident. He didn't do anything wrong. It was a hot mic. And those were not his words, okay? Those are Hunter Biden's words. So what does that say about Hunter Biden when Hunter Biden's able to go into the White House and Ken Matthews gets taken off the radio for just having a hot mic? But I figured I'd share that clip with you all because a lot of people haven't seen that, and a lot of people kind of forgot about some of that stuff that I did previously because I was banned for so many years. But we are still Loomering people. And it's really exciting because now with the launch of the show, we're expanding the operation. And as you know, I have my website, loomered.com. That's loomer.com. And also the show. And one of the things that we are going to be doing as well is I'm going to start training people how to do what I do. And I think it's really important. That's one of the reasons why I started the show as well, is I wanted to provide a voice to you, the people, and have it be, a more grassroots activist show as opposed to a 100% polished mainstream media show that isn't interactive, right? You see that I have the chat here and you're able to communicate. And when you support me and my work by going to locals, and that's another thing too, if you're watching live, be sure that you're reposting this link. And at the bottom of my Rumble channel as well, you'll see a little thing that says Get Loomered. If you click on that, that's where you can subscribe and you can support my work either with a monthly donation. So be sure that you're following me on Locals as well, which is owned by Rumble. Be sure that you download the Rumble app and that you follow me on Rumble so that you never miss an episode of Loomer Unleashed. You can subscribe for $70 a year. You can subscribe for $7 a month, or you can give a one-time donation as well if you want to support the work that I am doing. Because when you support the work that I'm doing, I'm able to also bring on other people. And I'm really excited to announce that officially on Monday, Loomer Unleashed will have another correspondent. His name is Charles Downs. And he's a vibrant young man, investigative journalist who is out of Washington, D.C. And we will now have our very own Loomer Unleashed contributor in Washington, D.C. to doorstop politicians, confront them, and ask them questions. Because as you know, I can't always make it to D.C. I'm here in Florida. And so when you donate and you support me on Locals or you send in your super chats, you are helping fund not just the production here, but also you're helping support other journalists and contributors who are going to be working with Loomer Unleashed. So with that, I want to bring in Charles Downs, who is the newest contributor to Loomer Unleashed. Charles, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing great. And, this week I broke a story about how Fani Willis, I broke it last week, but it picked up a lot of steam this week about how Fani Willis is, she had a fundraiser planned at the Washington Post headquarters. And for those of you who are watching who may not know who Fani Willis is, or you're forgetting, Fani Willis is, of course, the crooked communist Fulton County district attorney that is persecuting Donald Trump and, had him arrested in Fulton County a couple months ago. And I broke this story about how she was having a fundraiser. We could pull this up on the site at the Washington Post headquarters. You can pull that up. It's on Loomer.com under older entries, older reports. You can scroll back and you can see for yourself right there. Washington Post headquarters to host fundraiser for Trump-hating Fulton County DA. And the fundraiser was this Wednesday, and obviously I was doing my debate on Zero Hedge, and so I sent you, Charles, and we're going to play that video because we got the video here. You were able to Loomer her, but you're not Laura Loomer. You're Charles Downs. So we were thinking that now that you are going to be confronting or Loomering these people, we could call it downing. You're going to be downing politicians in Washington, D.C. How cool, right? So you've got Loomering, and now we have Charles Downs. So you're going to be downing the creatures of the swamp. Do you like that?
Oh, I think that's perfect. And
I
there's
love
so many
that.
creatures in the swamp that could be downed because,
It
I think everyone
fits.
here is just selling the American people out. This is what they do, selling out the American
Absolutely.
people, stabbing Trump in the back, and
I think it's going to
interfering in the
catch
election.
on. I think it's going to catch on. We've got Loomering, which is the original, and now we've got downing, right? So we're going to down these politicians. It's really great. So you did a really great job. And upon the publication of this report, I said, hey, I need you to go and, go see what's going on here. And you showed up and you actually confronted Fani, right?
Yeah, I did. But she wanted to hide. She was too scared. They literally shut the garage. So
yeah.
I
So
couldn't
we've
get
got
too
that
close.
video here. We're going to play that video because you get to see these people in real time. They love talking shit, you guys. They love talking a bunch of shit online. They love running their mouths about President Trump and talking about how he's going to go to jail, and they have their protests. You see Letitia James, you see Fani Willis. These are communists. But then when you send somebody to confront them and ask them questions about why they're in D.C. at the Washington Post headquarters of all places having fundraisers with the chair of the D.C. Democrat Party, take a look at what happened.
How's it going, everyone? I'm currently in an alleyway right outside the Washington Post building. You see those three SUVs behind me? Those belong to Miss Fani Willis. She avoided me earlier and went in through the side. It's pretty remarkable that the DA of Fulton County, Georgia, came to Washington, D.C. for a fundraiser. Why is she raising money off people in D.C. unless her prosecutions of Trump are literally national and it's being coordinated by the Biden White House? That's the only explanation to all of this. The only thing. It is literally quite a remarkable scene here, right outside the Washington Post. Miss Willis, why did you come to D.C. for a fundraiser? You're the Fulton County DA, not the D.C. DA. Are you coordinating with the Biden DLJ to arrest Trump? You clearly don't want to answer the questions because you put the garage door down. Miss Willis, are you sure you don't want to answer if you're coordinating with the Biden DLJ on your Trump prosecution? You talk a lot on X and in court, but you don't really want to talk when you can't control the narrative, do you?
That was great. So she ran away from you, And we could clearly see the lobby of the Washington Post, and you see the check-in counter. And I noticed that when you rolled up at first, you had like 4 black SUVs, but then when you went to go confront her, the garage door was down. So they actually lowered the garage door to hide from you, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And during that day before the fundraiser, you and I were talking like a lot of smack about the host, A. Scott Bolden, who can scarily went on Fox News, of all places, to talk about how Trump getting indicted was going to hurt him in the polls and hurt his reelection chances.
Yeah, tell
So we were
everybody
sharing
who this
the news
attorney is, because we didn't get into that as well. So it was hosted at the Washington Post headquarter building in Washington, D.C., because, you know, that's totally appropriate behavior for a major media publication to be hosting in their building the fundraiser for the DA of Fulton County, Georgia, that is attacking President Trump in an act of election interference. But, you know, they like to say they're not biased. And then this attorney, A. Scott Bolden, tell everybody about this interesting individual, if you will, Charles, and why this is even more inappropriate than having a fundraiser just at the Washington Post headquarter office.
Yeah, so this like attorney, well, since Trump's gotten arrested, he didn't do any media hits. And then all of a sudden, Trump gets indicted in New York, and he starts doing media hits on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. I think the most disturbing media hit he's done recently was him literally fantasizing on MSNBC about Trump getting arrested before the RNC convention and basically saying, hey, Ron DeSantis is waiting in the wings. So that was really interesting. So this dude was just like a piece of work. And it was kind of funny. So I get there and they set everything up. And if you see in the video that I took outside the Washington Post with the address, you kind of see like a security guard standing there. Yeah. That dude was literally just watching me the entire time. Ever since like for the first 5 minutes I was standing there, he walked in and out and just kept staring at me and staring at me. And then when I went around back after Willis arrived and I realized, oh, she parked in the alleyway, he like followed me. So like when I was like doing that reporting with the black SUVs, if you see that individual in the background, it's the same guy as in the lobby. So they just kept following me around. So they weren't too pleased we were there.
And then who was the other black lady? Was that the former mayor of Atlanta, Georgia? Was that the former mayor of Atlanta, Georgia that was with her as well? Because who was that? Who was that other black woman that was with her that was like as they were waddling their way into the car? Because I know that you and I were talking about how the former mayor of Atlanta, she was there the day that President Trump had to turn himself in Fulton County. And now this woman as well is part of the Biden administration. So why don't you tell the viewers what you found through your investigation for Loomer Unleashed about Fannie Willis's connection with the former mayor of Atlanta?
Yeah, so this is crazy. So Keisha Lance Bottoms, the former mayor of Atlanta, and she was mayor of Atlanta when the 2020 Antifa riots broke out in that city, and she just let
them go nuts. But Black Lives Matter as well, and Black Lives Matter too, because she's black, and I'm just saying she's black, and the reason I say that is because she allowed, as a black woman, right, Black Lives Matter to just run wild throughout the streets of Atlanta, and she refused to condemn it, and she wouldn't hold them accountable because she seemed to sympathize with it as a black woman. And Atlanta was one of the hardest hit places. I mean, they literally tried burning down CNN headquarters.
Yeah, and actually like a little black girl was killed, if y'all remember, when she was going through the Wendy's drive-thru during those BLM and Antifa riots, because they wanted to like make that Wendy's like a church or something because like quote unquote racism happened there. But it was all disaster. So Keisha Lance Bottoms was in charge when all of this was going on. And then after 2020, Ms. Bottoms moved to the Biden White House as basically like one of the top advisors. She's like the top advisor for personnel, which means like she is basically making all the hires. And we all know Joe Biden's brain dead. So like it's literally her and maybe like a few Tony Blinken making most of these calls.
Well, so, yeah, and that's another thing too. So put this in mind, right? Put this into perspective. And we'll go back and Keisha, this lady, okay, was outside. She rolled up in the SUV, right, as Fannie Willis was inside when Trump had arrived. The first person to get out of the car, and I remember because we filmed it when we were there and we were outside of the courthouse and the jail when this whole thing was going down. this lady in the yellow dress gets out, and everybody thought it was Fanny. And then it was the former mayor. And they have this whole commotion. She gets escorted by these 3 black SUVs, and then they take her over to the MSNBC media booth in a private area. And what was she doing there? I mean, she was there. She came in. She had her all glamour shot. You're outside. It's hot. She's wearing like a, yellow dress. She looked like she was going to a prom or something. Okay, the way that she had her hair and her makeup done and the dress. So continue about what she's currently doing. If you could just reiterate once again, what her position is in the Biden administration and why this is such a problem. Keisha Lance Bottoms.
She was senior personnel advisor, and we all know Biden's brain dead. So like this lady was literally making all the hires in the Biden White House. And then when she left the Biden White House, NBC News ran an article, and the title was "Lance Bottoms leaves the White House, but Biden still eyes a critical role for her." And what could that role possibly be? Well, it turns out that going through some like old research and old interviews from like a few months ago, Miss Lance Bottoms was on MSNBC with Jen Psaki on her new show. And Jen Psaki.
And she was at the jail. So we're repeating this because everybody needs to put 2 and 2 together. Oh, I have a critical role for her. Well, maybe that critical role is being the conduit between the Biden administration and Fannie Willis so that the Biden administration can help control the indictment of President Trump and these other 18 officials who were indicted in Fulton County, Georgia. Right? So there needs to be an investigation. Nobody in the GOP House oversight, nobody in the House Republicans has called for an investigation because the reality is this lady is the former mayor of Atlanta. So what the hell was she doing in Fulton County, dressed up, receiving a star-studded reception while President Trump was getting his mugshot? And she made it a point to come in while President Trump was getting the mugshot because everybody thought, oh my God, it's President Trump's motorcade, right? But it wasn't. It wasn't. And they had an entire security detail for this woman. Why? She's not even the current mayor. Why does she have a current security detail? Who was she there on behalf of?
Yeah, and I was wondering that when I saw those SUVs. Obviously, I've asked a lot of United States senators, congressmen questions. They don't get out of SUVs like that in Washington, D.C. Like that was like almost like a presidential candidate escort. I saw.
Well, it was in Fulton County. It was in Fulton County, okay. Yes. But the SUVs, but yes, yeah. But you're exactly right. For a former mayor to have that type of a motorcade, people thought that it was either Fannie Willis herself or President Trump. And I remember because I was in the front row and all the news cameramen were there and they were like, that's Trump, that's Trump, that's Trump. And nobody could see who was in the car. And then all of a sudden a black woman with a bright yellow dress with her hair and makeup done gets out and everyone's like, who is that? Right. And then people were like, oh, that's the former mayor of Atlanta. So why does the former mayor of Atlanta get that kind of security and that type of detail when showing up to the arrest of Donald Trump?
It's a really good question to ask. And like I said, it seems like everywhere they go, they get a really nice detail and a bunch of nice cars. Like, what's a DA doing with basically like a presidential candidate like escort? Like, it literally looked like something Trump would have shown up in, just like what you saw down in Fulton County. And what makes like Lance Bottoms and Fannie Willis's relationship really interesting is, as I was saying, she went on Jen Psaki's like show, and Jen Psaki was like, "Oh, Keisha, you've known Fannie Willis forever. Y'all worked at like the Kendall law firm together." So I did some research, went on LinkedIn, found Fannie Willis's LinkedIn, and it turns out she worked at the Kendall law firm in like the 90s. So Lance Bottoms and Fannie Willis have literally been like, at the very least, professional best friends for over 25 years. And kind of how the Democratic Party works, especially at like the legal level, is they make lists. Like they're like, all right, these people are going to be like our next politicians or next senators or whatever. And they intentionally group them together. That's kind of how DC works on the left. So these people, there's no way.
That is
like,
true.
Keisha Lance Bottoms is not like the coordinating official between the Biden White House and Fannie Willis. Because it would make total sense, right? They've been friends for over 25 years. They worked at the same law firm. Jen Psaki like gushes over this fact, which is really, really weird. And then like what we said, when she left her super powerful job, why would you leave senior advisor as White House personnel director, especially in the Biden White House, when, like I said, Biden's brain dead? So that basically means you're making all the hires and it's your White House along with like a few other people. So why would you leave? And then, like we said, why did NBC News run a headline saying, oh, she left the White House, but her new role with Joe Biden is even more critical? They're not even like hiding it. And like I said, she's been hanging out with Fani Willis ever since. And she was down there in Fulton County, like you said, and it looks like she was up here in DC. And she really hasn't left Fani's side. So you really have to wonder, like, what's Miss Lance Bottoms doing? And more importantly, now that she's in the private sector, who's paying Keisha Lance Bottoms to do all this? And hopefully we can find the answer to this, because I really do. Like, who's paying her right now? Like, she's not just going to be walking around for free. Oh, I think your sound cut off on my end.
You said that she left the Biden administration, and so that is a good point. If she is no longer in the Biden administration officially, who is paying her, and why is she being a representative with Joe Biden's former press secretary, right? And why is she having meetings with the Fulton County DA? It just seems very convenient, right, for the Biden administration to let her go and say, oh, okay, well, we're going to have a position for her, right? We have a special position in mind, right, President Trump's getting arrested in Fulton County, Georgia, and indicted. Just seems like a very opportune moment for Joe Biden to exploit this 25-year friendship and relationship between Keisha Bottoms and Fani Willis, as you have uncovered through your investigative report.
Yeah, and it's worth to note, too, that the guy who hosted the fundraiser, A. Scott Bolden's also an attorney, and his law office is in the same building as the Washington Post. So, like, what is going on in this?
And he was also the chair of the DC Democrat Party as well. So imagine if you're going to be the chair of the DC Democrat Party, Washington, D.C., where everything's taking place, obviously you're going to have a lot of connections, and you're going to be very plugged in with many of, the highest level Democrats in our country.
Yeah, and here's what I really don't understand about all of this is, where's the House GOP?
Yeah.
Like, they're so obvious about their coordinating this. And Fani Willis was in town Tuesday night. Congress was in town. Why didn't Congress subpoena her? They could have had a nice hearing Wednesday morning.
They've gone home early, right? They've gone home early, and people can see on my locals, if you go to loomer.locals.com, we actually have a report up about this. This week, Speaker Johnson, after Republicans signed off on the continued resolution, he actually let them go home early. And so now you have Republicans that are going to be home. They apparently they need 3 weeks to celebrate Thanksgiving. Must be nice. House Republicans are currently in a contest with Joe Biden to see who can take the most vacation days. That's what I think. I think that everybody should go run for Congress, because it's the best job ever. Think about it. You get free health care. You get 300 vacation days out of 365 days, right? These people just don't work. They just took 3 weeks off trying to select a new speaker after they removed Kevin McCarthy after the motion to vacate. And now they have a new speaker, and now they're already taking another 3 weeks off. So votes aren't going to even resume until November 28th, right? Votes are not going to resume until the 28th. Loomer.locals.com. Loomer.locals.com, right there. House Republicans take early recess amid dysfunction. So we got that up on the screen here. It's been a very chaotic year in the House of Representatives. Kevin McCarthy was removed as Speaker of the House in October. Mike Johnson eventually replaced him. Fights are breaking out in the halls of Congress. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard this week, but Kevin McCarthy literally physically assaulted a member of Congress, okay? This was reported. Apparently, he got so mad at one of the representatives that voted to remove him as Speaker that he was walking by and kind of side elbow punched him. And a reporter saw it. And you could look it up. Kevin McCarthy is having such a meltdown right now. He still, if you go to Twitter, he still has not taken Speaker of the House out of his bio. He cannot get over it. I mean, maybe we've uncovered something here. Maybe he really is a shadow speaker. Think about it. Maybe Mike Johnson is just a physical speaker, but Kevin McCarthy is still a shadow speaker. Look, he still has Speaker of the House in his bio. Why not remove it? You're not Speaker. You're not Speaker, Kevin. You need to get over it. But it may sound funny. I'm not trying to sound like a mean girl. I really am serious here. Is Kevin McCarthy the shadow Speaker of the House right now? Because I don't see how Mike Johnson is any better than Kevin McCarthy. He just proposed another continued resolution. We're getting more funding for Ukraine, even though he said he wasn't going to. This is literally why Kevin McCarthy was removed as Speaker. And now look, he still has Speaker of the House in his bio. When is he going to remove it? It's kind of strange, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'll say this. If the shoe was on the other foot, and let's say for the sake of argument, there was a Republican president going into an election year, Hakeem Jeffries was Speaker of the House. The Democrats controlled the House with a Republican White House. And that Republican White House was going after their Democrat opponent who was beating them badly in almost every poll.
Yeah.
Now, what would the House Democrats do in that situation? Something tells me they would literally shut the country down until these prosecutions were defunded. And the fact that the House GOP won't do this is why the election interference is just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, because the globalists and the Democrats and the never Trump rhinos, they have no fear for their actions, no matter how illegal they are, because they know the House Republicans aren't going to use the power of the purse or the power of the subpoena or anything else that our founders gave the House of Representatives for this very moment to check an out-of-control executive branch. They know they're not going to do it. So they're just going to keep interfering in the election because they know that's the only thing they can do that gives them a chance to beat Trump. Because if it's a free and fair election in 2024, Trump's going to win one of the biggest electoral college victories ever. The fact that Trump's up like 2 to 9 points in most of these national polls means Trump's on pace to get like 315 electoral votes. And like I said, that would be a legendary victory that I don't think, Laura, you and I have ever seen in our lifetime in terms of like a presidential candidate. Probably hasn't been seen since like
No,
Ronald
and we're
Reagan
the
in
same
80s.
age. I'm 30 and you're 29, right? So no. And look, we need Trump back in the White House desperately. And there's really no leadership right now. We saw with President Trump, it came from the top down, right? He was able to control the movement of the House and the Senate. But now with Trump not being in the White House, there's just absolute dysfunction. The Republicans can't seem to govern without Trump at the top of the ticket. They just can't. They can't. They're literally having fights on the floor of the House. They're taking 3 weeks off at a time. They can't seem to keep their promises about no more money to Ukraine, no more continued resolutions. We just had Republicans the other day kill the resolution to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. It is absolutely disgraceful, and it's going to create voter fatigue. We're going to have a situation where you have Republicans that don't even want to come out to vote in 2024, which is very dangerous because the Democrats now have mobilized the Zoomers, which are now the largest voting demographic in our country, larger than the Boomers, which are traditionally conservative voters. And so we now see that they're mobilizing these Zoomers to get out and vote on issues like abortion and their warped sense of foreign policy as it relates to their sympathizing with Islamic terrorists and all of these anti-American radicals. And so it's poisonous. It's a poison pill. And the House Republicans are doing absolutely nothing to stop it. I want to get to the chat really quick while you're on because there are a lot of people watching. People are saying, great video. Oh, I love that name, Downing. You're going to down politicians. And I want to see if anybody has any reactions. Press 1 in the chat if you are excited that Charles is going to be a regular contributor. You see, Charles is going to be a regular contributor of Loomer Unleashed. He's going to be our Washington, D.C. correspondent. And this means that Charles is going to be door-stopping politicians for our show on a weekly basis. And you will be able to get these videos exclusively on Loomer Unleashed. And so he's going to be confronting a lot of them. It's going to be great. He has a lot of practice doing this before. You may have seen some of his videos online. He was actually the guy who was filming when Dan Crenshaw tried assaulting a reporter from National File a few weeks ago. So Charles has been caught in the middle of some very high-profile confrontations with members of Congress on video, and we're very thrilled and excited that he's going to be here with us at Loomer Unleashed. And so let's go to the chat really quick because I want to see what everybody thought of your video. Yeah, everybody loves it. People said, when are we downing pedos? Oh yeah, we just saw the story right now. Did you see the story out of Florida? Stacey Abrams' brother-in-law, who's a pedophile, was married to a federal judge in Georgia who Joe Biden was tapping for a Supreme Court position.
Yeah, let me say this, like Fannie Willis is a Georgia Democrat. Stacey Abrams is a Georgia Democrat. They seem to have a lot of problems down in Georgia. A lot.
Keisha Bottoms,
And
yeah. There's a lot of problems in the Georgia
yes,
Democrat Party.
what is going on in Atlanta, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
where literally the scum of the earth seem to be taking hold of that state and making America suffer for their terrible leadership. And I love the people of Georgia, but y'all need to figure out what's going on in your state because, and there's some people with a lot of problems down there. Like, how do you have that many politicians who are terrible from one state? It has to be a record. Like, think about it. MTG. I guess we can combine rhinos too. Fannie Willis, Stacey Abrams, Lance Bottoms. The list just goes on and on and on and on. So, like I said, what's in the water down there? Like,
Someone said. Okay, there's somebody on here. They're becoming my new favorite chatter. They're saying it's Eastside Missionary Bible Church. They're so funny. They make me laugh so much. They said the Democrats just love their wieners and bottoms and fannies. You get it, like Fannie Willis, Keisha Bottoms. Yeah, I get it. Ha ha ha.
Well, what's sad and where I think the House GOP missed a great opportunity.
Bottoms up,
they
bottoms up, fanny down. Yep, bottoms up, fanny down. That's
Pretty
another
good.
one. Oh my God, your name is becoming a meme. Let's go back to the chat again. There's a couple questions. Do any of you have any questions for Charles about his confrontation with Fannie Willis that we just played? You see that she ran away. She didn't really want to answer any questions. Let's see what people have to say. Scroll up. Yeah, people love the video. Lots of chatter. The regime is trying to be dictators, and Hillary said that about Trump on the disgusting show The View. The Republicans in Georgia are the worst Republicans. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well, the
Brian
Republicans
Kemp,
in
too.
Georgia are Democrats. Like Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger, they might as well be Democrats.
Is there one good politician from the state of Georgia? Honest question. Nationally.
I don't know.
I know
Doesn't seem like
Cole on the
it.
state level is pretty cool. I don't think there is.
Thank you to Bakara E for becoming a monthly supporter. All of you can become monthly supporters by clicking Get Loomered on the bottom of the Rumble channel. You can see at the bottom of my page right there. You can subscribe on a monthly basis for $7 a month or $70 per year, or make a one-time donation as well. And of course, your contributions go towards funding this show, this production, and also, you know, the training and payment for people like Charles who are going to be joining Loomer Unleashed. And you know, in the coming months, I want to start launching some Loomer boot camps as well, because a lot of people have said, you know, I want to learn how to Loomer people. And there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me and said they want to learn, right? They want to join the, as we call it, the Illuminati, right? The Illuminati now. We're just, yeah, that's what some people call it, right? Here at Illuminate Media, right? They want to become a part of the Loomer army. And so, you know, I obviously want to be able to do all of this, but I'm kind of a one-woman operation in the sense that I have my team, right? But we don't work for a major mainstream media network. This is independent journalism. And so if you like what I do and you support the content and all of the amazing stories that myself and my contributors are breaking, then please support our work by clicking on locals, loomer.locals.com, or the Get Loomered link. You can link your Rumble with my locals here at the bottom, and you can support my work, and you can support great contributors like Charles who are doing great work to, you know, ask these questions of the politicians that nobody in the media is asking them. And we're not going to go easy on them. We are going to doorstop Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill on a weekly basis. And we are going to bring those videos to you here on Loomer Unleashed. So,
Yeah, and let me say this. We were the only ones there at the Willis fundraiser.
Yeah, there was
which
nobody
I found
else.
really interesting. There was no one else. And like, this was, I mean, you tweeted about it a lot. So people knew this was happening, but no other conservative media, quote unquote conservative media, wanted to go and cover it and ask Willis these important questions.
someone said, great job, Charles. Every town needs a Loomer for the local networks. Laura is the best Loomer. Yes. What is it? Smacks NTX 5723. I joined for a month. Thank you. Loomer, you're a rock star. No fear. Wonderful show. Unleash more Loomers, but only loyal Loomers. Yeah. Well, Joe Patriot 69 said, love this guy. Thank you so much. Stacey Olson, Laura, you have the best cheekbones. Just had to say it. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Yeah, look, guys, we are here to hold people accountable. It's accountability season, okay? And so we're not here to just go easy on Republicans and just to bash Democrats. No, we spend a lot of time here going after Republicans, probably more than we go after Democrats, because we need to start holding everybody accountable. It's not just the Democrat Party. Yeah, we want Trump back in office. Yeah, we're sick and tired of Joe Biden driving this country straight to hell. But we need to hold everybody accountable. And so nobody gets a pass, okay? This is not partisan media. We're going to hold Republicans accountable. We're going to hold Democrats accountable, and we are going to speak the truth and expose anybody who is lying to the American people. Anybody. And so that's what we're going to do. Do you have any last comments or last thoughts, Charles?
I was just going to say, if anyone was wondering, Fannie Willis is much more lame in person than she is in real life. And that's really saying a lot because she's really lame on X and on TV. But like I said, much lamer in person. And it's just a shame. Like, this lady's trying to arrest the leading presidential candidate of the United States, and she can't even answer one question about if she's coordinating with the Biden White House and why her professional BFFF, Miss Lance Bottoms, who basically helped run the Biden White House, is hanging out with her all the time.
Yeah, and now that Charles is a part of Loomer Unleashed, you're going to be able to get all of these reports, right? Because he is going to be publishing articles on our locals, and so that's a benefit of signing up for the locals, is you get to get all this content. And so I know that you're going to be publishing a report soon about these connections between Fannie Willis and Keisha Bottoms, but we wanted you on tonight to talk about it, especially with the news this week of the fundraiser and this new victory for Trump in Colorado and Michigan and Minnesota, with the precedent that's been set that no, they're not going to remove him from the ballot, and that these cases, these 14th Amendment cases, don't really have any merit. They're being tossed out by leftist judges, which is a good sign, because I honestly really didn't have such high hopes for that situation. But unfortunately, we have lawfare against Trump in New York. The mistrial was denied against him today, and we have Fannie Willis. And it just goes to show you, where's the rest of the media? Why is it that 2 independent journalists have to track this woman down? I live in Florida. I break the story. Like, nobody else in Washington, D.C. or even in Georgia is going to keep tabs on this woman. Nobody would have known about this fundraiser if it wasn't for me. Okay? And nobody would have seen it if it wasn't for you being there with Loomer Unleashed as a contributor to get it on video. And look at her, pathetic, rolling down the garage to block you. I mean, honestly, these people want to destroy our country. They want to steal our elections. They want to jail Donald Trump, the best president we've ever had. And then they're scared of a reporter with a cell phone. It's pathetic.
Yeah, the way I look at it, when she shut that garage on me, it was like her shutting the garage door on 74 plus million Americans who support Donald Trump and just want answers from Ms. Willis as to why she is trying to jail their preferred presidential candidate. It's just a shame. Like, who these people think they are?
Well, they clearly think that they know that they are communist dictators, and they think that they want to be the communist dictators, and they support a communist dictator like Joe Biden. And you know, Joe Biden's on his way out. I was talking to Ken, the previous guest, about this, Charles, and I'll get your take on it. They know Biden's on his way out, and they fully embrace communism, which is why they had Gavin Newsom there this week in California to kind of shadow. It's like go to work with go to work with your mentor, right? Or take your chaperone to work day. So they have Gavin Newsom there with Joe Biden at the APEC conference. Then they go to some swanky little fundraiser in Napa Valley at the same exact time this is going on, where they raise $3 million. And then they're hanging out with Xi Jinping, and you have Joe Biden hanging out with Xi Jinping, and then Gavin Newsom and his wife, okay, hanging out with Xi Jinping as well. We even have a clip from this summit, believe it or not, and we reported on this as well on Loomer Unleashed and my website and on my X account as well this week. So be sure you're all following me on X at Laura Loomer. You have a clip from this conference this week of Joe Biden admitting that Gavin Newsom is going to be president and that Gavin Newsom is going to take his job and he's okay with it, okay? Because Joe Biden has dementia, Joe Biden is an Alzheimer's patient, and he's saying the quiet part out loud. Listen to it. The media doesn't want to play this for you. You're not going to see this clip on the mainstream media because they're hiding it from you. And I'm telling you right now that Gavin Newsom is going to run for president, and you're hearing it out of Joe Biden's own mouth. Take a listen now.
I want to talk about Governor Newsom. I want to thank him. He's been one hell of a governor, man. Matter of fact, he could do anything you want. He could have the job I'm looking for.
That's so crazy.
He said he could have the job I'm looking for. He's basically saying he could, if he wanted to, he could have the job I'm looking for, which is president of the United States of America, since he's running for re-election for a second term. I mean, honestly. And then take a look at this clip too. This is Joe Biden leaving when the summit dinner was over last night, leaving this ceremony with world leaders, looking totally dementiaed out of his mind. And even the world leaders are looking like, what the hell? Look at the look on the guy's face that he points to. Look at this. Watch this clip and tell me if you think that this is a man who is well.
This concludes the program. Audience, please remain seated until the leaders depart.
I mean, like, did you see the look on that guy's face? He's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, he's like, I can't believe that's the president of the United States.
Play it again.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it's scary.
He looks so confused.
Do we have the clip of Antony Blinken going into like cardiac arrest when Joe Biden? I don't know if you all saw that clip too. Maybe. I don't know. We can get that pulled up on my Twitter as well. But some of you may have seen this clip of Antony Blinken during Joe Biden. It's gone viral. Everybody's seen it. It's been seen like a million times online. It's so funny. And Antony Blinken apparently was sitting there during Joe Biden's speech about Xi when Xi was in the room. And he goes, Blinken. Someone in the press goes, Mr. Biden, do you think that Xi Jinping is a dictator? And he goes, yeah, he's a dictator. Of course he's a dictator. And you just see Blinken kind of like die inside, right? Blinken. You just see the look on his face. Look at this. Here we go. Here, here's a video right here. We'll pull it up on the timeline. You could just, it's subtitled, right? But we'll just show you. Blinken pops his butt plug when Biden calls Xi a dictator. Oh, you can see it there. You see, look at the look on his face. He looked like he wanted to kill himself. Just start it over and you can see it for yourself. And I'm sure we could get this downloaded as well so we could play it with audio. But oh, here's another version. Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to Xi as a dictator? Just look at his face, his body language. Oh, God. I wonder how much money the United States taxpayers are paying for Antony Blinken to get daily therapy sessions. Because you know he's going to need
probably
it.
A lot. He kind of seems like the guy running the whole White House, which probably why.
Here, we have the audio. We have the audio now. Let's play this. Take a look.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to...
I mean, he could be like the new spokesperson for Pepto-Bismol. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Ooh, not again, Joe. You know, like he could literally be the next spokesperson for Pepto-Bismol. You know those commercials like where they're showing people looking like they've got diarrhea, nausea, heartburn, indigestion? That is Antony Blinken, honestly. If he wants a less stressful job, right, he could literally audition to go be the next spokesperson for Pepto-Bismol.
I think he should start trying that out right now because based off the polling, he's not going to have a job in a year anyway. So
nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Not again, Joe. I mean, if you could play those like a Pepto-Bismol commercial, you could even see for yourself. You've seen with those Pepto commercials on TV, right? You know what I'm talking about. Have you ever seen the Pepto-Bismol commercials?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Like that's hilarious. Like I
We
didn't
gotta
even
play
think of that
it.
until
But
you brought
look
that up.
at. I think that Antony Blinken would do a better job. We're gonna play the Pepto-Bismol commercial right now. Yeah. Ooh. It's kind of weird. Let's play these clips. We're getting it pulled up right now, but yeah, it's just so funny watching his face. Like he had an actual physical, visceral reaction. Here's the Pepto commercial. We're gonna play it.
Sounds like something. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion,
Pepto-Bismol coats and soothes for fast relief when you need it most.
It looks just like him. Oh my gosh.
It looks just like him. Play it again. So funny.
No es nada.
Suena como algo. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol recubre y calma para un alivio rápido
that's
cuando
the
más lo
Spanish version.
necesitas.
We're all going to be speaking Spanish soon anyway, thanks to this invasion on our southern border. But you might as well. We played that Spanish version, but it's only a matter of time before we speak in Spanish and Mandarin. But anyway, Charles, I'm really excited to have you on board, and I just know that we're gonna confront a lot of politicians, and it's going to be great because people are going to be able to submit their questions. Let's go back to the chat and see, who do you want? Because Charles is going to be in Washington, D.C. this week. Let's take some questions from the chat. Who do you want, Charles, to go down, right, for Loomer Unleashed this coming week? Well, they're all going to be gone, right? I guess they're gone till the 28th for their vacation because they all need 3 weeks to celebrate Thanksgiving. But when these members of Congress finally decide to get back to work and, actually do something and keep some promises, who do you want Charles to confront? Put it in the chat. Because we're going to listen and we're going to start confronting these people. They're going to get loomered. They're going to get downed. And Charles is going to look at this chat and he's going to be able to, they said McCarthy, MTG.
Oh, we got her a little bit before I guess joined.
He actually did. You know what? Charles actually did confront MTG a couple weeks ago. And then she goes, don't you have a real life? Can't you get a real job? And she was just being really dismissive of you. And you asked her why she voted for McCarthy and protected him during the motion to vacate. So that was good. They say they want you to get Joe Biden, Chip Roy, Mayorkas, Shifty Shift.
Oh, Chip Roy's a good one. He's always really angry.
We got Chip Roy, or he got loomered outside of the Ron DeSantis fundraiser a couple months ago, if you guys recall.
Yes, so, that was really fun.
Yeah, someone said 3 weeks for Thanksgiving, WTF. Exactly. Why do they need 3 weeks? It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy.
Yeah, what I was going to say, everybody traveling next Sunday, if you're rushing home to get to work on Monday and you're at the airport or in traffic, just remember, members of Congress, they don't have to rush home on Sunday. They don't have to be in town till 6:30 p.m. to Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We have a video, actually, of me confronting Chip Roy. Scroll up a little bit. We have it here on the computer right there with the trans flag, the little tranny flag right there. Republican Congressman Chip Roy left speechless. We got this clip, too. We'll play it. This is when we loomered Chip Roy outside of Ron DeSantis' fundraiser, a big pharma fundraiser he was having for his presidential campaign with the manufacturer of Lupron, which is a child castration drug that they give to kids that want to transition. So Chip Roy was actually in attendance at this fundraiser with this big pharma representative who was shilling for child castration drugs. So we loomered him. Play the clip.
It's like a Mexican standoff. I feel bad. She's like, do you support child castration?
Are you aware the CCP ties to this fundraiser?
Are you pro-vaxxer? There's a Moderna lobbyist hosting this fundraiser. You're selling out America. Trump 24.
For more exclusive updates and investigative journalism, please be sure that you subscribe to my Substack today. You can subscribe at Loomered. Yeah, so you see he ran away, and you were there, actually. That's when you were doing work for, I believe, National File, but you were there, and then my cameraman, who's now also going to be doing my production work as well, who's a fabulous, who he confronted him, and he was able to actually get Mark Lampkin, the Moderna representative and the AbbVie representative on video walking into that fundraiser. But look, you guys, you just get to see how cowardly these people are. But that's the kind of stuff that Charles is going to be doing, and obviously I still do this as well, but I can't be everywhere. So with that, Charles, where can people follow you on X? Because you're going to be producing exclusive content for Loomer Unleashed. I wanted to introduce everybody to you tonight so that people get familiar with you, since you're going to be a regular on the show as a contributor. But what's your account on X so that people can follow you?
Yeah, give me a follow at the Charles Downs. That's all it is. And yeah, like what Loomer said, definitely follow, because there's going to be a lot of great content coming on that account and holding a lot of rhino, globalist, Trump backstabbing, election interfering politicians accountable. So it should be really fun. And 2024 is an important year to be doing all of this, obviously.
Absolutely. So it's at the Charles Downs. The Charles Downs is his X account, and he's going to be publishing on loomered.com. So go to loomered.com, and then of course follow to receive the content on the locals by signing up and subscribing for locals there at the bottom of the Rumble channel there. So Charles, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the people that are going to get confronted and all the great content that you're going to be producing. Great job with confronting Fani Willis, and keep it up. And happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you. And you too. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. And hope you guys have a safe holiday. And if you're traveling, stay safe out there. We know Biden can't run the airport, so hope you all make it to your destinations on time.
That is very true. Yes. Yeah, that's very sad. So thank you, Charles. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks. So that's great. That's, one of the contributors that we have is going to be really good. It's going to be great content. And I just hope all of you know that we are going to be, we are going to be giving you so much content. There's just almost too much content. We have a couple debate clips. This is the last thing I'll show because it's late, obviously. And if you haven't watched the full debate from Wednesday night when I debated Dave Smith on Zero Hedge, we'll show a couple of these debate clips from the other evening, where I was debating the pro-Israel, or as I like to say, the humane side of this debate, right? This debate, as they want to call it, between Israel and Hamas. And so it was definitely, an interesting, intellectually stimulating debate. You can watch the full debate if you missed it on my Rumble channel as well, since I streamed it live. But I'll go ahead and I'll just play a couple clips just so that you can see what happened. A couple short clips. So apparently Joe Biden, and my phone was blowing up too, they had their meeting today because they met, and he said it out loud that she was a dictator, but
this picture right
he doesn't speak right.
Can I tell you something? This is one thing, and you might agree with me. This is one thing I really liked about Trump. I think it was really good about Trump's presidency, is that he does kind of get this, that Trump, he'll tell you how he feels about a thing in a campaign rally. But when he meets with someone, he's trying to make a deal. So he's not going to meet with anybody and be like, you're a dictator, you're horrible, you're that. He'll meet with Kim Jong-un and be like, he's a really nice guy, he really cares about his people. But that's actually smart, because you're trying to get something out of that. Dude, Richard Nixon went to China and met with Mao Zedong. And he didn't go, Mao Zedong killed more people than any other human being in the history of the world. And he didn't go, you're a really bad guy for doing that. You know what I mean? He's trying to open up trade relations. You got to be that's one thing I like about Trump a lot, is that he's Trump, no matter who you are, you could be I could be like, Trump, your mother's a whore. And then tomorrow, if there's something he wants out of me, he'll be like, let's make a deal. It kind of doesn't matter that happened yesterday. You know what I mean? He doesn't hold
that kind of goes against how thin his skin actually is.
No, it's not, though. That's just what they say about him. But he doesn't actually have thin skin.
Well, it's like when he'd turn around and work with people who were trashing
him. Sometimes to a fault.
Attacked him and he's like, oh, he said that Hezbollah's smart. Well, you actually do kind of have to be smart if you're going to carry out an attack against the most surveilled state. How did this even happen?
Why is it? People,
it's
like
so
this
stupid that they would say that, he supports Hezbollah because he called them smart. No, you have to be pretty smart to defeat Israel.
But you see this all the time. time.
and then get in and carry
You
out.
see this all the time.
Like
People try to like, it's like, because it's such binary.
Guys, welcome to the After Hours show.
Here we go.
This is the after
Throwing that on valuetainment. No, but it's like people like they think that almost like dumb is synonymous with bad. You know what I mean? So like if someone's a bad guy, and then you go, "Ooh, he's brilliant," they go, "No, he's an idiot." And you're like, "Wait, what?" Like, no, he's not. I remember this a lot with like the rise of the alt-right, where there'd be a lot of people online who just be like, "Richard Spencer is fucking retarded" or something, and you're like, "Well, no, he's not stupid." I mean, like, have whatever problems you have with him.
It's just dismissing, exactly.
But you're just like,
dismissive.
you almost like, dude, first off, if he was stupid, sure. Like, if he was stupid, then.
So that was some behind the scenes footage, of course. It was funny. It was a funny little moment there because we were all chatting after the debate, and I wanted to share that with you because, that was an exclusive clip that we afterwards we were having a bit of a discussion there, but it just goes to show you, right, that we had this debate, and I wanted to show you that clip because even though we had this debate and we were debating different positions back and forth, at the end we were able to joke and banter at the end and have really nice conversation, and we left having a good time, right? So it just goes to show you that it is possible to have a debate with people who disagree with you and to be respectful. And we weren't trying to hit each other over the head with bullhorns. We weren't attacking each other, even though we had disagreements during the debate. You saw this was after the debate. And then, of course, Adam from Valuetainment was joking, yeah, welcome to the after show, right? But no, we can have conversations and we can have debates and we can say, we may not always agree on everything, but we can agree on some things. And I just found that clip to be, nice and kind of just like a behind the scenes. You don't really see this, right? Because a lot of the debates are so structured, but it's just a little sneak peek behind the scenes that shows you that, yes, even though Dave and I were arguing during this debate and we had back and forth and I don't agree with his position and he doesn't agree with all of my positions, we are still very friendly. I have respect for Dave. I like him as a person. I've been on a show a couple times, and even though he has a different position than me, I don't hate him. I don't think he hates me. And we need more debate. We need more discourse in our society. So that was a fun experience, and I was really honored to be a part of that Zero Hedge debate. And I look forward to seeing how they carry out their other debate series. I got to actually meet the founder of Zero Hedge as well, which was nice because, usually it's run by this guy. Well, okay, so the joke with Zero Hedge, right, is that all the articles are written by a guy named Tyler Durden. And Tyler Durden, obviously, it's a joke from Fight Club, right? And so when I met this guy who was the head of Zero Hedge, he goes, "I am Tyler Durden." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I guess the first rule in Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club." So it was a little funny moment, but it was good because I had never met the guy who runs Zero Hedge. I had never met Adam from Valuetainment. And these are also really great networking events too. And it's great when you're able to have these kind of, collaborations and live stream them, and people are able to share their views without being censored and silenced. And we live in such an age of cancel culture where everybody's always just trying to shut everybody down and shut everybody up, that we need to be encouraging more peaceful debate as opposed to these animalistic riots in the streets of America and around the world that we are currently witnessing, right? It's very dangerous. So let's see. Dave had raised his hand and voice. Let's see. Laura easily won the debate. Free speech. What did you guys think? Press 1 in the chat if you enjoyed the Zero Hedge debate. I thought it was a good debate. I liked it. Well, with that, it's been a long week. Been a long week. A lot of things happened. And if you're just tuning in tonight, maybe you tuned in a bit late, be sure that you watch the rerun of this show. Because it's live, you'll be able to watch all these episodes. You can even go back and watch some of the previous episodes. If you didn't catch it, I interviewed presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy earlier this week on Loomer Unleashed, and you'll definitely want to check that out. That was a really great interview that we had, and you can click that on my Rumble channel and see our conversation about Ronna Romney Romney and the call that he made for her to resign, you can watch my debate with Zero Hedge, and you can go back and watch the previous episodes as well. Because as I said, all of this stuff relates. It's all information that you should know about. We did an expose a couple days ago on Arthur Engeron, the judge in New York, and it's information that you're just not going to get from the mainstream media. You're not going to see any of this. And also be sure that you're following me on, go to loomer.com, you guys. That's loomer.com, and that's where you can, receive all the articles, and you can sign up to get my my content and read all of these different reports. And then, of course, be sure that you download the Rumble app. You want to make sure you download so that you can subscribe and follow me on Rumble at Laura Loomer so that you never miss an episode. And be sure you also click Get Loomered so that you can join my locals community and get access to exclusive content. And with that, I also want to thank, again, the sponsor of tonight's episode, Field of Greens. You can go to fieldofgreens.com and take advantage of their upcoming Black Friday sale. Between now and Black Friday, use code VIP at checkout to get up to 30% off all of your products. We want to support the sponsors that support us, because in this day and age, it's hard to find people that are brave enough to put their necks on the line to support free speech. And so I really love Field of Greens. I love the fact that they're committed to free speech, and they're committed to health. And I want to make sure that all of you, your friends and your family, get extra savings this holiday season leading up to Black Friday. So fieldofgreens.com, promo code VIP for 30% off. Also, be sure that you're following me on X, True Social, Getter, and Gab at Laura Loomer so that you never miss any of my exclusive updates. And with that, I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 10 of Loomer Unleashed, and I will see you next week before Thanksgiving for another episode of Loomer Unleashed. Thanks, and have a great night.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems will be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself to
She
Twitter.
chained herself.